You can go
Well,
live.
you're all kinds of delayed.
Am I?
You're de- yeah.
That's not good. Let's see what happens.
Never used it.
Never used Jitsi. Well, I was thinking of actually asking you if I could use
No.
your Zoom. I mean, it's not hard to swap because I can just pick up a different thing. Hello, everyone. Let's see. We might swap to Zoom, but I won't have to drop the stream to that. Just because we're having problems. Yeah, that is really bad, isn't it? There's noise? There's
Yeah,
no
the
noise.
delay
The delay is dreadful, isn't it?
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, that's really bad. Do you want to open up a Zoom and we'll...
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, lots of noise.
There you go.
Alright, we have... I'm just going to kill the video, guys, and I'll keep kind of talking to you because that is dreadful. Alright, we kill that, and where's the link, Jay? I'm going to close that Jitsi. Hey.
Hey.
Hopefully that's better when I capture it. Give me a second. I'll start with us and then I'll invite everyone else in. So,
Wow. Now you're the host, because I only be on for about an hour.
No, that's okay. Thanks, Jay. Where are they? Sorry, people who are watching this. Never had this much problem with Jitsi before, but that's okay. I will try and fix it. Be nice to me, Zoom. Okay. Let's see if that's any better. Hopefully that works better for everyone. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, I know you're watching a black box. I took the video down so we could swap over to Zoom instead of Jitsi without having to drop the stream. So I apologize for that. Hopefully you should get some video back up again. Well, you will do because there's a huge delay here. There we go. Hopefully that's a bit better and not all jaggy for you guys.
Fuck.
Right. I think I sent the link out. Here comes... Here comes Jen.
2, 3.
Hi, Jen. We can hear you.
I can hear you and see you.
And that's much more betterest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why that link didn't work before, but whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. I can't. Everyone knows my actual name. That's fine. I'm doxing myself. No, I doxed myself for ages.
Yeah, people are going to come down to Australia to harass you.
Yeah, they're going to come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me, guys. I want to be God. I need to be loved.
Oh, Jay's here. I see.
Yeah, Jay.
Hello.
Well, Jay's
Hi,
been
Jay.
kind enough to let me borrow his Zoom.
Okay.
So
I
thank
get
you.
it.
Yeah,
Jay.
I'm working on stuff behind the scenes, so.
So thank you, Jay.
Ooh, I got an echo.
Oh, this could be me. Hang on a sec. Talk again, Jay.
Hello? No, I still got an echo.
You
That
do.
could be me though. Hang on, I'm in the middle of working on some stuff.
Have you got an
so.
echo, Jen?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I haven't done anything wrong. Is the audio okay for the channel?
One.
Sorry, I'm dreadful at this.
Hang on. Yep. Damn it, I still got an echo.
I'm not used to producing for myself for doing streams like this, so yeah, there's that. It's twice as hard when you have to have 2 copies of Zoom open and running 2 on the one machine, so the joys.
Why do you have to do that?
Yeah, because my webcam is handled by one instance of OBS, not Zoom, of OBS, and the actual streaming is handled by another instance of OBS.
How's this? Yep. Okay, echo's gone.
Yeah. Okay. Was anyone else wanting to join us?
Purple, why don't you come on in here?
Yeah, I might shove the link into Purple's group, and if anyone wants to hop in and join, they're more than welcome to.
Thank you, Purple.
I said I'll only be here for about an hour or so.
Yeah. So where's Purple's group?
That's why I made you the host, so you can just keep running.
Yeah,
when I shut down.
yeah. You won't when you quit. You won't screw us all over.
I'm getting everything ready, set for tomorrow night. Well, tonight.
Oh,
Video's done.
There we go, Perps.
What's the hot topic?
There's a link there.
It's a topic tomorrow night is oracles and soothsayers.
What's with the fires? Well, I've got fires about 5Ks from me at the moment. They're kind of under control, and it's only in scrub, so there's a few houses in danger, but it's not too bad where I am. But if you go to the other side of the country, it's fucking dreadful, and there's been quite a few people killed so far, and billions of dollars worth of damage done. So yes, it's not good. So, and I'm playing with a peg, if anybody was wondering. So, good show, wasn't it, Jan?
Mm-hmm.
Did we have fun debunking absolute idiots?
Always.
I fell asleep.
I know, yeah, that was wonderful amounts of snoring there. It was lovely.
That was my first time doing that.
It will happen to all of us. You know, I was on. I did a Aussie one night. I finished talking on Discord and went to bed and left myself logged in on Discord the entire night with the computer that's next to my bed. So if I was talking in my sleep or anything, people would have heard anything. And nobody muted me. Nobody was nice about it. So I have no idea who heard what I said in my sleep or heard me snoring my head off or whatever. So
I was staying at a friend's house, and I was sleeping on the couch, and he's an early riser, so he came out to the living room, and I'm on the couch, and he sits in his easy chair, and he said I started talking in my sleep, and I gave a complete lecture on how to change the timing belt of an M20 engine.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, so now he's learned something.
And he said it was accurate too.
Hey, Purple.
Damn.
Yeah, you may regret letting me in. I've already had rather a bit to drink.
Oh, that's okay. We understand.
We love you, Perp. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we love ya. I wish I could keep the hair out of my face.
Yeah, I'm probably about one shot short of my speech slurring.
I think you're already there.
Well, it's movie night and I don't have to get up tomorrow, so I didn't think I had to care about it.
Well, that's fair enough. That's always fair enough. So, I don't know. So have you got anything in mind, Jay, that we could do for a follow-up watch?
No.
No, I do, but I'm a bit worried that if I try and play it, I might end up with the same problems that you had.
Which problem? Oh, with the sharing and... Yeah, I actually, me and Ozzy actually had to go in and I had to set up display captures and stuff. Capture the video and then capture zoom.
Oh, I can do a whole display capture. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, well, I had, like I said, I had to display capture the little zoom box that pops up in the corner, and then I had to do the video capture for the video itself down in the other corner.
Yeah.
So.
Give me a second.
I'll show you.
Oh, did I close that video? In movie night, because I'm not as experienced with movie night as you guys, being so new to the community.
So this is what I had to set up for it. I had to do a
okay.
display capture, another 2 display captures.
Oh, that looks complicated.
It's up in, yeah, it was a pain in the ass.
Well,
and every time we set up, then I've got to go and I've got to readjust this because it's the only way to get it to look right.
A creationist who thinks butterflies disprove evolution. Or if you've got a link, Crypto, I will bring that video up and we'll have a look at it.
It's the butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings, somebody disbelieves.
In God. I will, Crypto, I will mod you so you can post the link in the chat and I'll grab it from you and we'll have a look. So how is everybody? Considering that I haven't spoken to Jay or Perps yet today, so... At all? Have I spoken on Twitter to you, Jay, today? I don't know.
I have not been on...
Yeah, you haven't been on Twitter much today.
No, I had to work.
Yeah, that's right.
So I didn't get a chance to do...
Hey, Jay.
I managed to get out at 11 instead of 3. So I had to get home and I had to get my video all put together for tonight.
Yep.
I was supposed to work, but it's too late now. Nobody will find out until Monday that the stuff on my list to get done until Friday didn't get done.
Alright, what was I doing? Oh, I hate it when I open up different windows whilst I'm trying to do this, and then I lose track of what I was looking at, and
Punchy!
Can't do the high IQ research, you got too many tabs open.
Oh, yeah, the high IQ, yeah, no, I can't handle too many tabs, they blow my brain.
No, I'm like that too. It annoys me if there are tabs open that aren't actively doing something.
Yeah, me too. I've always got to shut them down.
I've got 6 open at the moment. Oh, one of them I can close. That's so much. Oh, that feels so good when you can close a tab. 2 of them are for to do with the one stream I want to do tomorrow night my time for the science stuff. Which will also have some pre-recorded video to go in on it, which I've just now using up the time I was going to use to do that, so I guess that will be my job this evening for my time, depending on how long we go with this. And then, yeah, my plan is to do a stream where we talk about those couple of discoveries, and I'm going to play a little video about those discoveries within it, and then afterwards I will publish those 2 short videos after the stream so they can be watched separately from the stream. So a bit of work to make a cool little thing, I think. Hopefully, maybe, if I can get my act into gear. And
I missed the subject. What is it going to be on again?
Oh, what's my science one going to be on? There's been 2 discoveries. The new fast radio burst that's in a galaxy that's
the steady thing.
yeah, 500 million light years away. So 500 million light years away. So 500 million years ago, this thing happened. But it's a reoccurring fast radio burst, which are not. Oh, there are a few of them around, but this is a particularly unusual one, so it's worth discussing. And
Half a billion years ago, old news.
Yeah, old news, but new news to us because it's so far away. And the other one is a new planetary system that's been discovered by the TESS telescope that is very, very interesting. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. We have a video, people. Opening a new tab. Put that over here. Full screen ahead. Whoops, that didn't go full screen. Alright, I'm assuming people could hear that anyway in the stream. So, this could be interesting.
Darwinian evolution was...
Whoops. I'm going to have to think about how to do this without putting extra audio out. How did you solve that problem, Jay?
Oh, fuck.
Because I have to send audio to you guys and audio out to the stream, so this should be interesting.
Well, I did the display capture, and then I did an audio output capture.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Okay, but I have to... I do an audio output capture to send audio to you guys, so you guys will get an echo. Oh, I could turn the audio...
No, when you share, just make sure you hit share sound. And then don't put a input capture.
Huh?
You had to make a whole new scene, right?
Yeah.
So don't put an audio input capture. That way it doesn't feed back to us.
Yeah, so no, you see that my problem's going to be that I use OBS to... Oh yeah, but my OBS only captures from my mic. It doesn't do that sends to you. Okay, so yeah, it's not a problem. Ignore me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. No, the one out to the stream might be a problem though, because yeah, because if I want to capture off the OBS to send to the stream, that's going to be an issue because they'll either end up with delayed audio or they will end up with an echo. Because I have to capture audio, and as soon as I start playing it, I've got audio on the machine that's being captured. I can play it to the stream easy, and I can play it to us separately, but I'd be pausing 2 separate ones, and that's a bit annoying. So,
yeah, for the fact that you use your OBS to stream you, that kind of makes it a problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't... Oh, I use... No, that's not really the problem, because that stream doesn't capture the audio. It's only this one that goes out to everyone else captures audio. But it'll capture the audio that comes back from Zoom as well as the audio that I'm playing.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't?
No. I like I said, the only thing I have is audio output. That's it. And then I share it through Zoom, and make sure I share the computer sound so everybody can hear it. And then when I hit play, the audio output sends it to the stream.
I won't hear what I play through to the stream. But won't it be out of sync?
No, they said just try it.
All right,
give it a shot.
Let's
give
do
it a test run.
video capture on. I'll have to screen. Yeah, I can. Oh yeah, video. I just video share from me. Okay, let's give this a go. Sorry guys, I'm gonna see if this works. Let's share that one with share computer sound. Share. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Awesome. And in theory,
like
if
a
I press
crawl.
play now, it should just go straight out to them, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's hit the play button. And accept that I muted it, so I'll have to go back to the beginning and try again.
The butterfly disproves Darwinian evolution. When a caterpillar
Really
dies
soft, isn't it?
and goes into a cocoon, if Darwinian
doesn't
evolution
die.
was true, that species die out,
Yeah. You just said that caterpillars don't die when they go into a cocoon.
Right. They
Yeah.
metamorphosis.
They metamorphosize. They don't die. What? What? What is wrong with these people? I say it again. What is wrong with these people?
If species don't die out, why don't we still have dragonflies the size of eagles?
Ah, crap. No, I'm having your problem now, Jay.
Pausing.
Yeah,
Yep.
pausing in the screen. Do you want to grab it and you share it, Jay?
Yeah, give me a minute. Like I
It's
said,
in the chat, so... Oh,
Yeah, I'll grab it in just a second.
Yeah,
Like I
you-
said, I've been in the middle of trying to get things set for this weekend, so
sorry
I'm
about
kinda
that,
playing
Jay.
around. That's all right.
I will stop my sharing. And we'll bring that back. Sorry, guys. We will try that again. I will have to do a setup that actually works at some point. But now that Jay and Ozzy know how to do it, we will figure that one out. So, yeah. Have you got the link, Jay?
I'll get it in just a minute.
Yeah, Crypto posted it in chat.
Yep, I seen it.
Just close that. Yeah, it's a problem with OBS and screen sharing in Zoom.
It's I can't figure it out. I even sent the for the to Zoom and talked with their help desk and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, send us all of your videos set up and recording and what you're trying." I'm like, "No, you should know what the fuck's going on." That's it. And I sent him back a reply going, "I found a workaround. Never mind."
Yeah.
All right, let me see here. So,
Oh, the video won't be frozen now because I think I turned it off. Yeah.
so I'm gonna share this.
Awesome. Ta, Jay. Can't hear it.
Ah, God damn it.
Did you forget to share audio?
Yes, there. How's that?
when a caterpillar dies and goes into a cocoon, if Darwinian evolution was true, that species die out
I'm
and
not
only the
seeing it
strong
show up on
survive,
the
the caterpillar
screen itself.
would die out and never return again. But instead,
Pause it,
what would
Jay.
it appear to be?
Sure, Tornado, the link's in the group. So I don't know if you're in the group, Tornado.
Wow, you got a hell of a delay between the video.
Yeah.
Like we're talking 30 seconds between play to from play to capture.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with me messing around and swapping between Zoom and Jitsi at the beginning.
I found out, me and Ozzy figured it out, that when you go in to set up your stream on YouTube, that if you shut it down, you disable DVR and set it to low latency, you lose almost all of your delay. You only got like a 2, maybe 3 second delay tops.
What do you have to do that? I mean, we can't do it with this one because
In your options, when your options come up, where you choose your latency,
Yeah.
regular, low, and ultra low, click ultra low, and then go over and disable DVR.
Ah, okay, and then you get a nice.
And that, and that you're only down to like a 2 second.
Oh. Okay. Jen, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Can I add Tornado into the movie night group? Or should I DM him?
Whatever. He's part of the
I
movie
just
night.
added Tornado to the Twitter group.
To your group or
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
To
so
the
he's in your
night
group. Okay, I'll relink the Zoom into there then. Oh, that's not the right thing. Okay. He has a link. Anyone else who came across from movie night who wants to hop in? Yeah. If you're not in one of the, either in Purple's group or in the movie night group, hit one of us up. We can shoot you the link. Shall we play again? Now that we've dealt with that.
Crap.
What did you do, Jay? You broke it.
I shut it down because, like I said, I'm in the middle of getting things put together. So this was just a spur of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jay.
That's all right. I said with me working tonight really put a damper on getting everything together.
Hey,
That's what you
Tornado,
get
better
for
check that
working.
this looks alright.
Hello?
Yeah, they didn't have a choice. It was like, hey, guess what? Everybody's working tomorrow. It's like, what the hell? What for?
Can everyone hear
Hello.
me?
Yep.
Hey,
we can
Tornado.
hear you.
Hey, Tornado.
Hey, Purple. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Jen Morgan.
Hey,
Yeah.
Doorknob had. Of course, I have rose-colored glasses. I'm an old hippie. What would you expect?
And just so you know, now that you're actually... Nice to meet you, Doorknob Head. Oh, shit. Sorry, that was my computer audio.
Oh, that's alright. We forgive you.
Anyway,
Yeah,
So,
Tornado, you've
did I
actually
just
been kind of quiet tonight.
did I just get here for the fun?
Well, we've been trying to get going, but technical issues.
I could hear the audio.
Yeah. The bit before, I was trying to use Jitsi, which I have used before with Zoom, but apparently with OBS, but apparently OBS didn't want to grab the images properly, and it was
Oh, us
lagging
OBS
like
can
crazy.
OB. You're our only hope.
OBS, I love you, OBS.
Bad.
But,
That is just bad.
And then we're trying to play the video, and OBS screwed that up as well. So the workaround at the moment is Jay's going to be sharing his screen and playing the video, and I'm going to be OBSing. So.
Yeah, give me just a minute here. I said I'm getting things tweaked out here
Yeah,
for tomorrow night.
So the Darwinian evolution. I noticed that Russian or Thrive and Survive's comment on Darwinian evolution. Dude, you do realize that the caterpillar is still wrapped up in its cocoon, and it's not exactly death.
Yeah.
It's actually going through its changes in the cocoon.
yeah,
Otherwise, its organs would be flying out everywhere. It can form a new skin. It can form new wings. Inside its
Tornado, do you know what a caterpillar does when it goes into a cocoon? This is incredible. When it goes into the cocoon, it's all covered up and we don't see it is, but they've done checking and testing and study on this. The caterpillar liquefies. It becomes a liquid and then reforms as a butterfly from a liquid. Isn't that incredible?
yeah.
yeah.
But strangely enough, they've done experiments that show that the butterfly retains some memories from when it was a caterpillar.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that it doesn't completely liquefy everything, but yeah, a lot of it just gets completely... It regenerates.
Yeah, but somehow the central nervous system must stay intact.
Stay intact, yeah. Well, it's not a complex central nervous system for a butterfly, so it would only be, a few thousand cells that it probably has to maintain some form of memory.
Yeah, but just the fact that whatever does this process can differentiate those few thousand cells from everything else.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. It's what's that little animal that its life cycle involves it eating its previous life cycle?
Huh?
Yeah, it's a small it's a type of crustacean. I'm not sure, but its first life cycle becomes a sperm receptacle for the rebreeding.
So is this Russian vids right here, or Mr.
No.
Dragon survive?
And yeah,
There's some guy named Matthew something.
basically the larval form, which is still itself, which is actually like a sort of parthenogenesis clone of itself, eats its current adult self, then grows into a new adult, and then at some point it absorbs new DNA material to become a new creature at some point. It's a really weird reproductive system which involves it eating itself at one point.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's just kind of weird. Doorknob head reckons humans do that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up sometime. It'd be an interesting thing to talk about, but I can't remember enough of the details. I've only read about it once or twice before, so I'm going to have to go and look it up. But it's a very interesting thing. I am what's his name who does Because Science labels this as the most the animal in the animal kingdom he respects the least. Because it eats itself.
Wait, you're talking the channel name Because Science?
Yeah. The guy
that would be Kyle Hill.
Kyle Hill, thank you. I'm hopeless with names. Yeah, Kyle labels it as the animal he has the least respect for.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to share. I've got to run.
Oh, okay. Oh, we'll have to
like I said, I wasn't going to... Yeah, you're going to have to see if somebody else can share the video. But if I can come back later, if you're still on, I'll probably hop on. But like I said, I got some stuff I got to get done.
No worries, Jay. Thank you so much for letting us borrow your Zoom.
Yep,
Let's hope
not
it
a problem.
Disconnect it when you jump out.
It shouldn't. I made you host, so
Okay.
you should be able to continue going on.
Yeah,
I'll keep an eye on. I'll keep an eye on the stream after I leave to make sure.
Yeah, no worries.
The ugly German
I kind
ugly
of want to
German
show you
truth
what I've been
says
doing.
how much memories a caterpillar or butterfly can have. And in the lab experiments, they emitted a scent and then gave them a shock
Oh.
to the caterpillars. And then when they were butterflies, they found that when they emitted the scent, the butterflies went crazy.
Oh,
So they
okay.
were expecting the shock.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Okay, bye, Jay.
Okay, Jay.
I'll keep
Yeah.
an eye on this. I'll keep an eye on the stream real quick just to make sure you don't lose the Zoom, and then
Yeah,
I'll
well, the
take off.
stream won't disappear because OBS is running it, but yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, bye.
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 I mean, I could theoretically try it, but
Well, all we have to do is have someone screen share it who isn't me, because for some reason my OBS eats it when I try to do it. So.
I
Well,
could screen share my
ugly
voice.
German truth
I have
asks
an Imperial
how
Star
much
Destroyer.
memories can a caterpillar or butterfly have, anyways? Well, I think it would be like the primary things.
Let's find the link.
When it first day of kindergarten, okay, high school prom, homecoming. These are important things. So I would expect the butterfly would remember that.
The butterfly.
That butterfly.
Yeah, wouldn't that really suck for a caterpillar who thinks it's a butterfly and turns out to be a moth, so it's not nearly as pretty for the prom as it is expected?
Ooh, that could be
You leave
devastating.
Mothra alone.
Mothra sucks.
Alright. Tornado, I've just shot you the link for the video.
Alright, let me look it up in the chat window.
Oh, I did it in Twitter. Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
So, no, my bad. I should have done it in chat here. It was just easier for me at the time to get to the...
It's okay, I don't have anything really too much of a... Alright, can I share audio too?
Yeah, you just click on share audio when you do a share screen, and
Right, share screen.
oh, and you can share
whiteboard.
window. You don't have to share screen. You can just share window. So
I know. Share computer sound. Can you see what I'm showing?
yes, we can see that.
Yep,
Yeah.
Tornado, I'm seeing it.
The butterfly disproves Darwinian evolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This guy's got a neck like fuck it word.
Really, dude? You really want to try that, buddy? Because here's the thing. We can actually go back and trace the DNA of every extant butterfly that currently exists and every extant moth. We have fossils of other butterflies and other moths. So, turns out butterflies and moths really don't disprove Darwinian evolution at all. If you mean by that descent with inherent genetic modification and changes in allele frequencies, or due to changes in allele frequencies in reproductive populations over many generations. So there's that. So sorry,
Tornado,
buddy.
when are you going to go back to school and get your doctorate in biology or something? You really should.
No one needs that.
Anyway, back to the video.
You're too smart to ignore that.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
When a caterpillar dies,
It doesn't die.
It reforms. It regenerates. It's a time lord, for fuck's sake. No.
into a
It's
cocoon.
called metamorphosis.
Hold on.
Caterpillar dies and goes into a cocoon.
It doesn't die, you fuckwit. It's still alive.
If Darwinian evolution was true,
Oh dear, here we go.
Let him say it, huh?
that species die out and only the strong survive, the caterpillar would die out and never return again.
Oh, drink, people.
Fuck
Drink.
you, drink.
See, now, wasn't that more
He has
satisfying?
absolutely no idea how evolution works, does he?
No, he
You
doesn't.
don't have to be the best of anything. You just have to be good for your niche in the environment. You have to be good enough. It's not about being the best. It's being good enough. There are many things about all of us through evolution that aren't that great. Look at our eyes for a start. But they are good enough. And that's all evolution requires. It's not survival of the fittest. That's a load of bullshit. It's survival of the just good enough to get by and not have to worry about dying out from stupid things.
Like becoming a Republican.
Yeah.
I can say from repeated attempts that caterpillars cannot exist. They do not stack. Oh wait, that's a pillar of cats.
Love you.
Boy, that
Peps.
one went way over my head.
It was a very high pillar. Perhaps if you kill the cats first and you nailed them together, you could possibly make a pillar of cats.
Yeah, but you'd have to put titanium rods in their bones.
Oh,
Yeah,
so did they become cat wolverines? Do they? No, that would have to be adamantium, wouldn't it? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think the Animal Protection Society would have something to say about that.
I have titanium in my hips. I can, if I sit down and twitch to the left side, I get this really big knife that comes out of my right hip.
Hey, that would be handy if somebody tries to push past you in the line.
Oh well, I've
Or
used
if
it that way.
someone
Yeah.
tries to do grim, naughty things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back to the video.
But instead, what would appear to be a dying out creature actually comes into metamorphosis.
Oh my gosh, he actually got it right. Caterpillars don't die when they become butterflies.
No.
True death really only occurs if the brain dies, or if vital organs shut down and can't provide oxygen to the brain, which means the brain dies. Everything else can be reversible. Well, unless your heart just straight up gives out, in which case then you can't pump blood anymore, which means the brain dies due to lack of oxygen. So yeah, basically the only cause of death that is irreversible is the death of the brain.
Apparently, brain death is not a good indication, or this guy wouldn't still be talking.
So
Oh,
as
nice
long
one.
as long as vital organs stay intact, the butterfly or the caterpillar won't die. It will become a butterfly as long as it
There
has
are no organs. That is a liquid. It liquefies itself and reorganizes itself as a butterfly from the liquid.
Yeah,
No.
caterpillars make no
There is
sense.
no brain. There is no circulatory system. There is no exterior shell. There are no wings. There is liquid.
Yeah, it just breaks down into an ooze.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's so unfucking believable about those things. How does it know? How does it know how to do any of that?
Also, what is it with all these fucking idiot Christians and flat earthers who think that vertical video is a good thing?
And never mind the fact that they think it's an either or. Like, oh, if this was true, then this would happen. But this doesn't happen, therefore this isn't true. Therefore, God did it, or Earth is flat. And it falls apart at the lamest excuse. It's like the lamest excuse. They're the lamest excuses for it too. Oh, if Earth was really a sphere, there'd be pictures from space. But all pictures from space are fake. Therefore, Earth isn't a sphere.
Yeah, it's circular reasoning, but on a truly stupid scale.
Yeah, basically, this guy's reasoning here is a circle.
Actually, I would describe it more like a ball of turd, but hey.
Actually comes into metamorphosis and springs new life into an entirely different species in days.
No,
It
not
is
an
not
entirely
a
new
different
species, you
species.
fuckhead.
Not an entirely new species, you twit.
It's the same species, you twit.
Oh,
It's the same
God.
species. It goes from larval stage to pupa to adult.
Like you did. You were once a pupa. I think you're still a larva, though.
Llama?
Not you.
He's a llama?
Not you. This guy. No, larva.
Anyway, moving on.
Not millions of years. So species in days, not millions of years.
It doesn't change species. And hey, ever heard of this thing called radiometric dating? That actually does help us identify the ages.
But
of
it's
fossil
not
species.
real. Don't you know that?
Hold on. It's not the actual fossils that are being dated. It's the rock layers the fossils are found in. First, we use index fossils, but this isn't circular reasoning because index fossils only give relative ages. For example, we know this layer is younger than this layer because it's on top, but we don't know by how much. They're relative. Then we use various methods of radiometric dating to get absolute ages.
Yep, because we can do more than one type of radiometric dating, and we go with the timelines that overlap.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's
but you're
what
out by a couple of billion. You can be out by several million years. Yeah, but when you're talking about something that might have happened like 160 million years ago, that's fuck all. A couple of million years is nothing in geologic time.
All the young Earth creationists are Americans, so radiometric dating doesn't work because Americans can't do metric.
Anyway, moving on.
So the theory of Darwinian evolution that given enough time, transitional forms can morph into other transitional forms.
Populations, you.
Let him go. Let him go.
It's populations that evolve, not individuals.
Yeah.
Through evolutionary processes and biological, metabolical, organic, just volitional of their own.
Oh wow, word salad extreme.
Dun 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 dun. Word salad, da da da. Yummy,
You've got to ask, does he even know what most of those words mean?
I'll go through and listen to it.
And biological through evolutionary.
He doesn't know what that means. We've already established that.
Evolutionary. Describing something pertaining to evolution. Descent with inherent genetic modification due to changes in allele frequencies in reproductive populations over many generations.
Processes and biological.
Biological, referring to life.
Metabolical.
Metabolical, or metabolic in this case, referring to the reactions that keep something alive, aka metabolism.
I don't know. I kind of like metabolical. He made that up.
Yeah.
Organic, referring to compounds which contain carbon, like organomercury.
Just volitional of their own.
The correct term you're looking for is of their own volition, and no, it doesn't even do that. It happens without them knowing, because they're just looking to pass on their genes.
Hey, Tornado, you know that we know all these words too, right?
Uh-huh.
Just
I know, I'm just being a pedant. I'm devolving into silly pedantry, but when I hear guys like this use words that they don't understand, something in me is screaming to say, here, let me educate you on how to use these words properly.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's a playbook from Kent Hovind, isn't it? It's just word salad to try and make you look like you're more intelligent. But what they don't realize is when you throw out words that you obviously don't know the meaning of, all you do is make yourself look stupid.
Yeah, and my brain is basically a bag full of Trivial Pursuit clues.
Oh,
And
welcome to my world.
And I know more about this subject than he does, and I'm not particularly well versed in biology and evolutionary biology. And
Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Yeah, I'm like that Tornado when it comes to physics and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not brilliantly versed in them, but I know an awfully large smattering of it. And I'm the first person to admit that, hey, I don't actually know this. Can somebody fill me in? Because we don't know everything. Even the experts don't know everything.
My particular field of interest is weather, but that's probably due to where I grew up.
Yeah, I think Trivial Pursuit's a fair summation of my scientific knowledge.
Yeah, moving on.
Without the presence of divine intervention, creative design.
Oh, not intelligent design again. Seriously.
Has there ever been a better oxymoron than intelligent design?
Military intelligence.
Oh, yeah, that comes close.
Let's see. Caecilian. One of the forms of animals that we have today is a Caecilian. Now, for those of you who watch R.N. Ra's systematic classification of life, if we have an intelligent designer doing that, that's just kind of wrong.
But it's pretty obvious we don't have an intelligent designer. So,
in fact, I guess you could say it's taxonomical.
If there was an intelligent designer, Republicans would not exist.
Oh, Ben!
I'm not even going to touch that one. Politics have no issue here. And, moving on.
Really?
Yeah, moving on.
Politics have been in control of science for its entire existence. What do you mean it has nothing to do with this? Politics has something to do with everything.
Well, if we accept Descartes' I think, therefore I am, does it logically follow that Trump supporters don't exist?
Oh. I thought you were going with this guy not existing.
That one with a 39.5-foot pole. Moving on.
The caterpillar would disprove Darwinian evolution because as we see the caterpillar dying,
it doesn't die.
Dying.
Oh,
it doesn't
God.
exactly die, you idiot. Ding. You're claiming a property of caterpillars that caterpillars do not have.
That species would have died off if Darwinian evolution was true.
Asked and answered, moving on.
Theory of evolution, that species die off and then the strong survive.
No.
Asked and answered, moving on.
And they develop different characteristics so that they can survive in a new environment.
Yes,
Well-
and if their environment doesn't change, they don't need to evolve. You dipshit.
What's
Yeah.
this guy's name again? Matthew Kinsey or something?
Yes. Now, of
Can you-
course, there's the opposite side of the coin, where a species forces its environment to adapt to them.
Humans, for example.
Exactly. There's an issue. We are the sort of Uno reverse card, if you will, where most species adapt to their environment. We humans looked at the environment and said, no, you. We invented clothing, we invented heating, we invented air conditioning, and sure, we have some sort of control over the environment, if you mean by the houses we live in.
Yeah.
But nature is still very much wild and untamed.
Well, I mean, we have had an influence over the larger environment. Unfortunately, it hasn't been a good one.
Yeah, that much is true. Anyway, now that we've established that little chestnut, moving on.
The butterfly disproves that.
No, the butterfly is an example of this. The butterfly is an example of Darwinian evolution in action by the things I've described above. Moving on, asked and answered.
Because we see an entire metamorphosis of a creature in days. Not months, not weeks, not years, but within days.
Far out.
It's not changing species. It's still the same species. It doesn't die. It just changes into its adult form. Asked and answered. Moving on.
That's
Well,
God's
even
proof.
assuming he was right, the fact that it happens much faster proves that it doesn't happen. Yeah, where's the logic there?
It's like the fact that it happens faster proves that it doesn't happen. Those two statements don't belong in the same sentence, let alone the same paragraph. They don't belong right next to each other. What he's doing is, if P happens, P does not exist.
Ah, dear. That bad choice of letter there.
Okay, Q happens, therefore Q is false.
Yeah.
Spot the contradiction there.
But, I mean, everything about these creationists is contradictory. I mean, surely they must know at least some of what they're saying is bullshit.
Moving on.
Months, not weeks, not years, but within days. That's God's proof of intelligent design, that an intelligent creature took the caterpillar and
said, yeah, sure, let's look at this thing. Oh, I'll just leave that alone. Oh, hey, humans, let me give you a muscle that doesn't exactly work properly. Yeah, that'll serve you well when you're trying to drink soda and inhale at the same time. Or, hey, giraffes, let's give you this long nerve that's unnecessarily long.
Yeah.
It just go straight from the mouth to the throat, but no, it has to loop all the way around the aorta. Or, here, let's have this galaxy and that galaxy come on a collision course and slam into each other, scattering their resultant constituents all over the universe in the process. Intelligent design. Sure.
Not to mention,
Relax.
the universe is made for us, and yet 99.999% of the universe is completely uninhabitable by carbon-based life forms like us.
Yeah, let's see. Mercury, no atmosphere. Venus, atmosphere composed of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid. Mars has an atmosphere, but not thick enough to breathe. Jupiter, massive storms. And, an atmosphere that has ammonia in it. And might possibly be a failed star. Saturn, nothing but helium and hydrogen in it. Uranus, basically a giant ice ball made of icy gas.
Uranus.
Yeah, this would be like building Buckingham Palace and telling the entire royal family they have to live in one bathroom.
Well,
Yeah,
worse than that,
basic-
really, because I mean, most of the universe is what we'd call empty space. I mean, I know it's not exactly empty, but
Yeah.
basically, if you were randomly going to have somebody teleport somewhere in the universe, the chances are they are going to teleport into the vacuum of space, because most of the universe is the vacuum of space, and therefore you'd be dead.
Now, of course, that's assuming the other 1% of the universe, which is literally everything else other than planets, like stars, nebulae, black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just the
Randomly
proportion of the
teleporting
Earth
right next to
compared
one
to
of
the
those.
sun.
Oof, what a way to
But
go.
randomly teleporting into open space is it? You're done. You'll last until you run out of air in your spaceship suit, assuming you are in one.
Yeah.
So
Intelligent design. I'll believe that when pigs fly.
but we do that already on aircraft. But yeah, we did that. We're the intelligent ones that did that.
Now, see, and here I was going to staple wings onto the pigs.
Moving on.
I'm going to kill off this species. It's going to be what is going to appear to be have died, but then within days it's going to reappear as an entirely different species.
No.
How many more times must we explain the life cycle of a butterfly? Butterfly lays egg. Egg hatches to caterpillar. Caterpillar becomes cocoon. Butterfly emerges out of the cocoon. Butterfly lays egg. Rinse and repeat.
Exactly.
It doesn't change species, you ignorant
Now,
twit.
if it did change species, that might be evidence for a creator.
If it did suddenly change species while it was in its cocoon, then you might be able to say, yeah, okay, that disproves evolution by natural selection. But it doesn't change species on a whim. How many times must we explain this? Moving
forever, because they don't want to hear.
Within a matter of days. The caterpillar or the butterfly has often been cited as evidence whenever the debate over Darwinian evolution and intelligent design gets thrown around. The caterpillar is the silver bullet, the smoking gun.
When? Drink. Come on. When? Going through the entire court case, and I can't remember the name of the court case you guys had over there.
The monkey trial?
Yeah. I bet you butterflies were never brought up once, at least not by any evolutionary scientist. It might have been brought up by a creationist, but not by an evolutionary scientist.
Oh, it gets better, Because, you see, we have this wonderful thing called the Phylogeny Explorer Project. A project done by Arn Ra to track all species that have ever existed, extant or extinct, and put them into one nice, easy to navigate format. And you know what you see there? You see the descent with inherent genetic modification that is touted by the theory of evolution. So, sorry, buddy boy, but you're, like, what, 50 years behind the curve here?
Exactly.
If you will, for proving intelligent design over Darwinian, the smoking gun, if you will, for proving intelligent design over Darwinian evolution
Did he just say his whole argument back to front then?
I don't know, but there's only 30 seconds left in this video, so let's
He
see what
basically
happens.
said that he's seen the butterfly used as the silver bullet against Darwinian evolution.
And then he said, as an argument of intelligent design over Darwinian evolution. So
infallible truth of how species exist on our planet.
Hold on, I'm gonna...
Darwinian evolution and intelligence. Whenever the debate over Darwinian evolution and intelligent design gets thrown around, the caterpillar is the silver bullet, the smoking gun, if you will, for proving intelligent design over Darwinian evolution.
yeah, he swapped his stance on what he was saying in the middle of his fucking sentence.
No. He did not say that. He said the butterfly is used as the silver bullet for proving intelligent design.
Oh, okay.
Over...
So we misunderstood what he was saying originally. We thought he was going to say it was used by creationists, but he's saying it's used by intelligent design. Well, I could understand them trying to use it because they're dumb as fuck.
He's saying it's used to prove intelligent design is correct and Darwinian evolution is wrong, but he's wrong.
Yeah.
Simply put, we can track the genomes of butterflies, and we can see their fossils, and we can see how they all appear from one common ancestor.
He's also not very good at creating a coherent sentence either.
No. Like we've seen earlier, one of his arguments was Q happens, therefore Q is false.
Yep.
Which is a logical paradox.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the YEC rejects the idea of evolution, while at the same time claiming that on the Ark there were about 14,000 species that in 6,000 years became the millions of species inhabiting the Earth today.
So they don't believe in evolution, but they believe that they don't believe evolution happens, but they believe evolution happens at hypersonic speed.
Yeah.
So therefore, they believe evolution happens.
Yes, but not Darwinian evolution. They believe in a magical creationist type of evolution.
Well, they also believe that God had sex with some woman and made this guy who was like magical and could do all kinds of things.
Well, if you're going to take that literally, God raped some woman.
Hey. Moving on.
We're not allowed to have our opinions about it? It's a ridiculous story.
As for proving intelligent design over Darwinian evolution as the infallible truth of how species exist on our planet, the caterpillar. Because the caterpillar, what ordinarily would die off the species, it doesn't. It cocoons and metamorphoses into an entirely different species.
Asked and answered.
Within a period of time that Darwinian evolution cannot account for. That their theory says that these changes have to occur over millions of years.
Jen, I want to link to this guy's video.
Life cycle, you idiot! Ding.
Jen.
Yeah.
I want to link to this guy's video. I really do. I've got to go give him a few words.
I'll dump you a link.
Okay. Excuse me while I pop this into the chat if I can find a way to do that. Hold on. How do I go about doing this?
There you go, Jen. Oh, no, I grabbed the wrong chat link, didn't I?
No, I got it.
Sorry about that, Jen.
I don't know which chat link you're putting in.
No.
I put it in yours. Jenny Morgan.
No, why is it bringing up the wrong channel? Oh, I know why. Because I'm an idiot. You've got it anyway.
I got it.
Yeah, because I actually don't have it open anymore, and I'm trying to just copy the link to our channel.
The butterfly disproves that. It says that these changes have to occur over millions of years. The butterfly disproves that alone.
Look at him with his smug little eyebrow raise. He doesn't even understand the life. No, let me rephrase that. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand, yeah. Well, that's how you could look that smug when you're just trying to say that a caterpillar, when it becomes a butterfly, changes species. I mean, you
So,
have to be a
are
certain
there
level
any
of
more-
fucking stupid.
Any more videos you guys want to watch?
I don't know, has the chat got anything for us? This came from the chat. Have you got something you want to do, Tornado?
Well, there was that one video of Thrive and Survives.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I know I'm gonna get all sorts of recommendations for this. This is his latest video?
Yeah, except it's being used for movie night next week. Why do you want to?
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My
Is
bad.
it? What about the roulette wheel?
Yeah, they're using that. They're using that for movie night next
Oh,
week.
they are? Okay.
And I'm almost afraid to look at Jeranism's channel because of, or one of Jeranism's videos because of one of the stupid things he pulls.
We could always see what Daniel Pratt's been up to.
Oh, fun!
Wait, Tornado, are you implying there's something on Jeranism's channel that isn't stupid?
Oh, no, I'm not implying that at all, actually. And that's the honest truth. I'm not implying that at all because just looking at Jeranism's channel is nothing but stupid. Well, except for that time that he actually said, yes, the ISS does exist.
Yeah, and so then you've got to have to admit that there is no firmament.
So he basically destroyed his entire argument with that one admission.
I also
ISS
like the one with the laser and the bits of cardboard. That was good.
No, that was the flashlight.
Oh, it was a flashlight, that's right, it wasn't a laser. Still.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
That was almost as good as that drift of 15 degrees.
It's like Jeranism admits that the ISS is real, which means that if the ISS is real, that means that the space agencies are doing exactly what they claim they're doing.
If you look at what Jeranism does, it's obvious that he knows the world's not flat, and he throws out enough tidbits to show that he doesn't actually believe it, so that he can have plausible deniability that he's just making entertainment videos.
Would you
All
like
right,
to know what I
let's
wrote
see.
this guy?
Daniel Pratt.
This is the guy who lives in his...
Jen, would you like to hear what I wrote to Mr. Butterfly?
What did you write to?
I wrote, "You ignorant twat. The caterpillar does not die. The butterfly is not a different species. All your premises are completely incorrect. You know nothing about caterpillars and metamorphosis. Go back to 2nd grade." Boom, done. This video
Hold
only got
on.
2 views.
Why I can no longer take you seriously? Oh no.
Who is he not taking seriously?
Well, he has only 6 videos.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, I'm just looking at him. He has 6 videos over the last week.
So he's deleted all the... he's probably privated all his old videos, and he's gone even more religious, hasn't he?
Okay, well, Crypto dropped a link in the side chat about Bigfoot is explained in the Bible.
Oh, that sounds like fun. You've got control of the screen share there, Tornado. You pick.
Jen, Tornado, Perp, I'm gonna take off out of here.
Okay, which one is it? Which one is
exhausted.
it? Okay, bye, Jen, Morgan.
Bye, Jen.
Do the Jesus
Bye,
Saved
Jenny.
Bigfoot. I like that one. That sounds pretty good.
Jesus saved...
Okay,
What?
which video was it?
Jesus Saved Bigfoot?
No.
I'm talking about Purple Rhymes with Orange. Which video was it?
Just the one Crypto put in the side chat about
Bigfoot in the
is
Bible.
explained in the Bible.
Can you put it in my personal chat? Can you send me the PM, please?
Give me a sec.
Okay, hold on.
Actually, that gives me an idea. We could look at Kent Hovind.
Oh yeah, we could look at Ken Hovind. Let's piss him off. I've always wanted to piss him off on my channel. Let's see if I can get whack an atheist done to me.
Oh, yes, I'd love to have whack an atheist done to me and then just look at him and say, did you just say you're trying to whack an atheist when the guy who was talking most about you is a Christian? I'd love to do that to him just to rattle him. Now, let's see. Kent Hovind official. I don't want to see that. I want to see newest videos. Ooh, whack an atheist.
Yeah, he did Vice Rhino, but Vice Rhino did a reply to it, so...
Ooh, whack an atheist Matt Dillahunty from 1 week ago.
This goes for an hour, though.
Yeah, no.
He does a Bible
whack an
study.
atheist Richard Dawkins.
Oh, that could be hilarious.
Okay, well, Tornado, I'm pasting Crypto's link into the Twitter chat.
Shall we do Richard Dawkins?
Well, he's got more than one. Hold on, I'm going to stop. Does it share my Firefox? I'm going to pause the share then. You're going to pop it in my Twitter chat?
Well, I dropped it in the group, in the Twitter group there.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Also, Doc Fearsome called me Torpedo.
Torpedo. Ah! Why not?
I guess I kind of am a torpedo. What the hell? That's the wrong link. I got YouTube feed /subscriptions.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, it did not come through right.
No, it says youtube.com/feed/subscriptions. Odd.
Yeah. I don't know why that didn't come out right. Well, like I say, if you can see the YouTube side chat, Crypto had put it in there.
I kind of closed that video out.
Alright. Let's have a look.
Alright then.
We'll go back to Ken Hovind. Let's do his take on Richard Dawkins.
Alright then.
Because we know he's going to be wrong about Dawkins. And also Dawkins is quite often wrong about things anyway. So this should be fun. We may actually find something that we agree with Kent on. I'd be amazed, but we might.
Or there was Kent Hovin's comments about the lies in the textbooks.
Oh, yeah, why not? That's a good one. He's going to say that the science textbooks have lies in them, is he?
Oh, creation seminar. Oh, God!
What have you found?
Or I found a 3-hour video.
Yeah.
Oh, God, no. It takes us an hour to get through a 3-minute video.
Yeah.
Oh, he did miniseries. Okay, so that's one of the previous uploads in G major, maybe. Kent Hovind full length. Lies in the textbooks, Grand Canyon.
Hovind's Petrosaur sighting video. Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
Alright, I'm going to see which one the chat wants. Okay, we've got the 4 out of 7. We've got this one. These two are, I think, are maybe the same video or something different. There's his YouTube series. He's also done this right here. Which one does the chat want to do? Actually, I'm going to see if he has anything on the flood.
On Noah's flood. Oh, yeah.
Well, the one thing I can say for him is he's been smart enough not to take on the mud flood.
Nah.
The Hovind theory about the flood.
Or Kent Hovind Bible flood evidence. That's a shorter video. Should we go with that?
Yes, shorter is good.
Yeah, sure, what the hell.
It'll be one of his older ones, but that's fine.
People have asked, well, hey, if God was mad at the world, why would he tell Noah to build a big boat? Why not just make everybody die? Can't God say, okay, I want everybody except Noah and his family to die? And they would die. God could do that. Why use a flood anyway? Why make Noah spend, who knows, some people say it took him 7 years to build the ark, some people say 120 years. I don't think the scripture is clear on the topic.
Yeah, I don't think the scripture is clear on the topic either, but it took people with, let's see, construction equipment like cement trucks and bulldozers and cranes. It took them a multi-year effort to do that with the best modern technology we had, and they had to put it on concrete struts.
Yep. So unless Noah had a fuck ton of slaves and
who
some
knew
alien...
how to operate cement trucks, who could manufacture it in all that time, and how to get the wood and know how to properly treat it.
Aside from that, if you're an all-powerful
Yeah, I'd like somebody
deity,
to calculate.
why do you need to
I'd like
flood
somebody
a
to
planet?
calculate how many trees they had to cut down to build the ark.
I don't get it. Flooding the planet is a dumb idea if you're an all-powerful deity. If you don't like certain of the people that you've created because you're a fucking useless all-powerful deity, you just go power word kill on all the ones that you don't want there anymore and leave the other ones alive and leave all the animals there and all the plants, and you don't fuck up the whole planet. So
Yeah, because here's the thing. I actually went into a long-winded spiel about how, no, you're going to have to forgive me for this. I'm going to basically annihilate this entire flood theory issue right from the very get-go. The only way I could see the flood happening is through 6 key methods. Method number 1, or I think it was 5 key methods, but still. Method number 1, the hydroplate theory, in which case the water under the crust is boiled and the crust cracks to let all that water shoot up through the cracks. Well, there's a problem with that. Who can guess what happens when you have massive amounts of pressure underneath a giant rock slab, and all of that pressure goes away, leaving the rock slab to fall unimpeded?
Well, you get a tsunami eventually.
I'm thinking of something more immediate. Say you have a multi-million ton slab of rock just
a giant earthquake.
having... Yeah, it slams down, releasing enough energy to liquefy the fucking planet. Basically, when the hydroplate water stuff goes up into the atmosphere and releases all of the pressure that's keeping the tectonic plates from smashing into the other layers of rock, all of a sudden there's nothing there to hold them up there, and boom! Everything on Earth killed in one fell swoop.
Exactly.
Thanks to the massive, and I do mean massive, releases of energy. It would be the equivalent of the Theia impactor, except nothing would be flying off into space because or maybe stuff would because of all the massive slabs of rock slamming into the mantle and the other bits of the crust.
At minimum, you'd boil most of the ocean.
No, you'd be liquefying the surface, because if you drop something with a 65 meter wide mountain of rock on someone's head, then you're gonna generate enough energy, like say it was from 10 meters, I think. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but if you were to have that much stuff in there, it would generate the force of a nuclear bomb, dropping that much rock onto
Depends on
someone.
the speed it drops too.
We're talking at freefall. I'm not sure the exact video numbers on it, but there was this person named Austin Hurrigan who detailed the worst Pokemon moves. One of the moves was called Continental Crush, and it was basically the end result was more powerful than whatever that warhead was, the WM-87, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of energy released with things like that.
Enough. If you were to just have the crust fall unimpeded onto the planet, it would destroy the entire planet's surface and just liquefy everything. Bye-bye planet at that point. The second idea I had was, well, having all of the water basically be in the atmosphere or just ready to evaporate at the get-go, or ready to condense. But you have a problem, because the condensation of water releases a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
Condensing enough water to generate a storm system capable of flooding the entire planet all the way up to the top, all the way up past the top of Mount Everest, would liquefy the planet, because, or at the very least, it'd sterilize everything on the surface by making it combust into unquenchable fire because of the massive amount of heat released into the atmosphere. So even if the hydroplate theory didn't completely liquefy the Earth by having everything crashing down onto the other layers of rock, the condensation of the water would basically turn the planet into a charred coal.
But it gets worse than that with Kent's theory, because he ends up going into water shooting off from the Earth and hitting the moon, which is what creates the craters on the moon.
No, that was someone else.
Was that?
That was someone else.
I'm sure
that was Russian.
Kent...
I think that was Russian vids with the lunar bukkake.
Was it? Okay. I'm sure Kent mentioned it in one of his videos too.
But there's actually 3 other methods to get the water onto the Earth, saved by magic. The third method I'm going to be describing is the ice canopy, and there's 2 means of having that there. It could sit on the atmosphere, or it could sit above the atmosphere. Either way, it's going to crack due to stresses, thanks to Earth's different gravity, and if it's sitting on the atmosphere, due to differences in atmospheric pressure across the entire Earth. Either way, giant slabs of ice are going to fall down to the planet and basically completely and utterly sterilize it. So not even that would work. Same thing with the water canopy, except in that case it's a giant frickin' slam rod fire piston. Ever seen one of those?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but happening to the entire Earth. And finally, the 5th idea I could come up with for having the water come to Earth, and I think Hovind might detail that in one of his other videos, the ice meteor idea. In which case, I found that an ice meteor 200 kilometers across, moving at cometary speed of 30 kilometers per second, would slam into the Earth and generate enough energy to create an explosion with the equivalent yield of 860 billion megatons of TNT.
And add to that, where does the water go afterwards? If you add that much water to the planet, assuming that you didn't vaporize all the water into the atmosphere, or actually completely remove the atmosphere from the planet in the entire process, where does the water go afterwards? If you make a flood, it's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, the ice meteor makes the most sense, but that would still steam everything off of all the surfaces of the continent. And at best, you might have a few life forms in the deep ocean survive.
Oh, no. Oh,
no, not at
I
that
said
size.
at best.
Oh!
I mean, because the amount of water, the amount of water you'd need to cover the Earth to that size is basically a small planetoid. So you are talking about a Theia level event. That doesn't leave any life at all, except for maybe microbial, if you're deep within the Earth, if you're very, very, very lucky.
The ice meteor slamming into Earth, actually, when I used the yield on Nuke Map that I had found, thanks to the colossal release of energy involved, I actually found that the fireball itself would, the fireball resulting from the impact, the radius of that exceeded the radius of the Earth.
Yeah.
That asteroid would be a planet cracker.
Yeah. Yeah, you would not end up with an Earth as we know it afterwards. You may not even end up with an Earth. you can have impacts large enough that you don't end up... You'd have something coalesce again afterwards, but it wouldn't be the Earth.
We're lucky with the Theia impact because that thing glanced off us.
Maybe Noah's Ark was a spaceship.
Anyway, now that I've completed... Yeah, and by the way, that I'm going to get to the issue of why the Ark couldn't be possible even if we did magic all the water onto the Earth.
I mean, it is magic, after all, so we could say it was...
So we're going to let him talk a little while longer, knowing that any method, save magic, could not get the water onto the Earth without completely destroying
Maybe it
the
was
planet.
God P. Maybe God just got his magnificent God weighing out and piddled into the Earth's oceans until the water level rose high enough.
Anyway, Kent Hovinds, let's hear what you have to say.
It took a long time to build a boat that size. Why do that? Well, interesting things to consider about the flood. The flood left evidence. A miracle would not.
Yeah, the flood left evidence that there was no flood.
Yeah.
Having all that water magicked onto the Earth, that would be a miracle, and it would leave evidence. For example...
The water would still be here.
Exactly.
Or did God miracle all the water away afterwards as well?
But that's not even considering the ways you'd have to get it there.
To carry on my idea from earlier, maybe God likes drinking his own pee, and after he did that, he got a straw and sucked all the extra water off the...
Oh, please, no. Just please don't. I don't need that image in my head, thank you.
We have one messed up deity.
The flood left evidence. A miracle would not.
Yeah, the flood left evidence that there was no flood. Moving on.
You can go all over the world and pick up fossils. There are fossils which are evidence, like this giant trilobite. Something died.
Yeah, your trilobites died well before your so-called flood, you dipshit.
Like this giant trilobite. Something died.
Yeah, fossils are evidence that something died. They're also evidence that something lived. They're a snapshot of one individual out of a whole population of them. So it doesn't matter if that particular individual had any children or not, because there's an entire population of them. The chances for any one individual to fossilize are small, tiny. But when you have an entire population of them, chances are maybe one of them is going to survive, or maybe one of them is going to fossilize.
Well, and there's nothing to say that that individual didn't spawn dozens of offspring before it died.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you don't need every single life form to fossilize.
Yeah. I also have to congratulate your tornado on where you stopped that. Doesn't he look so fucking desperate?
You think I maybe upset him with my description on how any chance of getting all the water onto the Earth could only happen by magic?
Or absolutely busting God. Yep.
Anyway, moving on.
This is actually a replica of a fossilized arm to an octopus.
I'm gonna need to see a citation for that.
Yeah. And it's a replica, it's not the actual fossils. So it's just what you're saying is that's a casting of a fossil. So
Anyway.
You realize how unlikely it would be for an octopus to fossilize?
Just as unlikely as anything else.
Unlikely, but not zero.
That's right. It's very unlikely anything's going to fossilize. It's just because there have been so many life forms across the planet over such a long period of time that we actually have any fossils at all.
Basically, the chances for any one particular individual of any one particular species to fossilize is tiny, incredibly tiny, but non-zero. The chances for anything to fossilize on a planet, if you have everything living at once, or even if you have a long period of time, the chances of anything fossilizing at any period in any time, no matter if you focus on one particular species or another, if you sum up the whole total of all the life on that planet, the chances to fossilize anything out of that whole total goes to 1. For any single individual of any single species, it's incredibly tiny. But for the entire span of life, the chance goes up to 1.
And they're throwing their logic around the wrong way because, oh, it's amazing that we have the fossil of this particular creature. No, it's not. You're holding it in your hand. Like you said, the chances of that particular creature being fossilized went to 1 because it actually happened. It's not a case of it's just they don't understand probability.
Does he look desperate in this one too?
Sorry?
Does he look desperate in this one too?
He looks like he's about to fight someone, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? One of those old Bugsy style movies, and he's about to open that thing up and take a machine gun out of it.
I was thinking he's looking at the audience like, you're not really buying this, are you?
Anyway, if he manages to get a whacking atheist on me, I'm going to be surprised. Moving on.
They're all soft tissue?
No, they're not.
Not the beak.
Yeah, also, there are soft body fossils out there. There are bacterial microfossils. So, just because something is soft body doesn't mean it's impossible to fossilize.
It's harder, but because the system's required for them to fossilize is different. But it happens.
Is possible for them to fossilize.
Yep.
So you can't use that as an argument, Kenty.
Cunty.
Fossilized jellyfish are found.
Yeah, same again, dipshit.
How can that be?
Because maybe it has something to do with the amount of individuals, makes the chances of any one of those individuals to fossilize, makes it trends toward 1, or makes it trend towards 1.
Yeah. Failure of statistics. Failure of understanding how fossilization works.
And this face just looks like, oh crap, Tornado just called me out on my poor statistics analysis.
Either that or he's just trying to hold in a very, very persistent shit.
Fossilized eggs. We have 3 real dinosaur eggs in our museum while they're here today.
Yeah, and you know what? Those aren't soft body fossils.
Nope.
Although I'm pretty sure no one's actually cracked them open to see what's inside.
And they'll be rock.
But they'll be in the museum tomorrow. Dinosaur eggs. Thousands of and many eggs are found fossilized. What's the chances of an egg fossilizing?
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah, the chances of an egg fossilizing are actually pretty good because, well, relatively speaking, because A, they're not soft body fossils, and B, there's lots of eggs from many particular individuals of that one species. So again, the chances of any one egg fossilizing might be small, but the chances of one egg out of any of those eggs fossilizing trends towards 1.
And especially when you talk about dinosaurs, because most dinosaurs had their nests on the ground. Eggs cannot run away from a disaster, so if a flood happened that quickly buried them, or a volcanic eruption or something, the parents might have been able to get away, but the eggs cannot.
So there's many particular methods for fossilizing something. Volcanic eruptions, for instance, like, say, Pompeii.
Yep. And
moving on.
Flash flooding with burials and in sediment. And...
yeah, anyway, moving on.
Yep.
You know, like slim to none?
Oh,
more like approaches 1.
And yet there's evidence all over the world that we can pick up today. And Satan knows this ought to draw people to say, wow, there was a flood, there was a disaster, this thing was buried quickly.
Citation needed.
Citation fucking needed. Because, quite frankly, I don't think Satan gives a deuce about what people learn. If I were Satan, just saying this logically, if I were him, would I look at fossils and say, I should use these to lure people away from God? No, I wouldn't, because you know what? I look at that and go, fossils, how utterly inconsequential.
But yeah, and you're also making the assumption that not believing in a god is being lured towards Satan.
Yeah.
That's a false dichotomy.
He's committed a false dichotomy fallacy.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't Satan the one who's accused of giving humans wisdom in the first place?
Yep.
And also, does Kent not know about the many evolutionary scientists who are Christian?
Exactly. Oh, by the way, Kent's thought bubble at the moment. I wonder if I can eat this.
Anyway, moving on.
And Satan has used very hard to deceive, he worked very hard to deceive people into thinking that the fossils that testify of God's judgment
are in any way particularly useful for Satan's potential deception? No, he's just like, okay, so I'm just going to leave that alone because it's utterly useless to me.
Exactly.
instead testify of millions of years. That the fossils that testify of God's judgment instead testify of millions of years.
Yeah, because, hey, remember that thing about the geologic column? Yeah. Excuse me while I do a version of Kent Hovinds' little claim about in the textbooks. The geologic column can only be found in one place. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, too, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still, blah, 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 you get it.
Yeah, all over the world.
I probably just got a copyright strike from that one, sadly.
Nah.
Then again, it is fair use, because we're using it in criticism.
That's right, and there's no music, it was just you singing it, so it's unlikely to pick it out.
So, it's funny how they all say, it can only be found in one place. The entire fucking planet.
No, it can only be found in one place. Earth.
I'm beginning to think I should do some sort of thing there. If I ever encounter one of those videos where they say, it can only be found in one place, and I'm going to insert little movie clips like, Earth. Just
only one place, any natural history museum in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Kids go to school for 16 years and they're taught over and over, oh, this is proof for evolution, millions of years. No, this is proof there was a judgment of God.
Okay. Not for 16 years, you dipshit. I mean, probably isn't until you get into secondary school that you start even learning about fossils and...
Yeah, I really didn't start learning about how fossils tie into evolution. I just learned, hey, fossils are pretty good. They help us understand that things descend with modification from other things. Now, I didn't learn any of the particulars about that until I started taking zoology class, you dipshit.
Yeah, which explains why he doesn't understand it, because I very much doubt he did high school. Oh, except for as a, mail order diploma.
Moving on.
There was a flood.
Yeah.
There's been lots of floods, but there's never been a worldwide one.
So, yeah, there's been lots of floods, sure. Many myths, or many cultures have myths about floods. But, hey, here's a particular brainwave to you. Could it have anything to do with the particular way and location that those early cultures lived in? Like, say, near rivers, or on coastlines, or in floodplains? You know, places that are prone to flooding? I'm just putting out there based on thousands of years of solid evidence.
And on top of that, he talks about all these floods pointing to the biblical flood, but they all took place at different times in history. So was it a staggering flood and it happened in different areas at different times? Is that what Noah's flood was?
Now, of course, there's
it did the world tour.
Now, of course, there's also the whole thing about how the flood took how there's every culture tells of this worldwide flood, except for one culture that doesn't, which is actually relatively near to that to the area where the Bible was supposedly written. Yeah, it's a place called Egypt. Yeah, turns out they don't have myths about floods. They have myths about not floods.
Yeah.
They have myths about droughts. Because I don't know if it's of any particular use to you, Kenty, but the Egyptians rely on the Nile to flood. So why would they have a myth about something that happens, A, pretty much every year, and B, is necessary to their survival? Did you maybe get that? Kent's thought bubble is, ah, crap, he just called me out.
That flood left evidence all over. You can just about any place in the world dig around and find fossils. They're everywhere.
Yeah, sure, that flood would have left evidence, as in the water would still be here. And nothing else would still be here. Maybe a microbiome or something along those lines, maybe bacteria.
Well, especially with the flood happening 6,000 years ago, we'd have fuck all left.
Yeah, if the flood happened 6,000 years or 4,400 years ago,
yep,
the best I could see is maybe plankton. Because we're all forgetting about the one thing that Kent's conveniently left out. What is rain?
It's precipitation.
Yeah, but what has happened to the rain? It's been evaporated, which means it no longer contains salt, which means it's fresh water. What happens when you have an entire ocean's worth of fresh water dumped into an area with a primarily saltwater ecosystem?
Oh, they all die. But not only that, you get all that salt that's in our oceans flooding over the land. So even if it did recede later, you have now salted all the land. We have problems with salt flat areas across the world now where we can't farm. The world would be fucked for years. You wouldn't be able to farm, there'll be no agriculture, the trees wouldn't grow back, there'll be nothing for any of the animals to eat. Microbes would be it for a very long time after a worldwide flood.
Yeah, and there's not only that, but you also have to consider now that the saltwater, with the whole massive dump of fresh water into a saltwater ecosystem, there's a lot of places for potentially toxic algae blooms to make the water suffocating and toxic because of all the dead things now floating around in it. Dead things which bacteria can now thrive on and create massive waves of toxic algae blooms, which kill all the freshwater things if they hadn't died already from the sunlight zone now being 6,000 kilometers or 6 kilometers up.
Yep.
And that effectively fucks over everything on land because now there's no way to get photosynthesis. Every freshwater environment that relied on the sun is now completely gone because now they're in the abyssopelagic 6,000 meters deep. The Marianas Trench is now the deepest place in the ocean of 12,000 kilometers or 12,000 meters instead of just 6,000 meters. And on top of that, the only thing that would be alive is bacteria. So even if the flood did happen, you wouldn't be here to tell of it.
Now, here's another little here's another little thought process for us. You dump that much extra water magically onto the earth so that you don't have to worry about the heat generated by the water. Okay, you're now shifting the atmosphere up further away from the center of gravity, where the earth has less gravitational pull on the atmosphere to maintain it.
So it's gonna get a little bit thinner.
The atmosphere is gonna get thinner. It's gonna be colder towards the outside of where the top of the new global ocean is. Isn't it very possible we'd become an ice ball?
Maybe, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that.
No, it's a possibility though. There's also the thing that if you magically then take all the water away, you're gonna have to magically put all the atmosphere back. Because
Actually, that's a
otherwise
very good point.
Otherwise, you end up with too little
Considering-
atmosphere.
Well, considering at the tops of all the mountains there's permanent snow, if the water was up that high, the water should at least have a crust of ice over it.
Well, interesting point there, because as the water falls, it pushes the atmosphere up. So we expect to see relatively the same atmospheric pressure we do at sea level. It's just sea level is now 6,000 kilometers higher.
Oh, and of course, yes, of course, the mass of the Earth would increase by all the extra water that you put on it. So gravity would actually be larger on Earth as well.
Yeah.
And you've got a planetoid-size amount of water. You've just doubled the mass. Well, not doubled the mass of the Earth, but you've probably added another sixth of the mass to the Earth by adding all this water.
Yeah.
Yeah, iron compared to water. Away. Yeah, that's about right. 1/6 of the mass.
Either way, it'd be the equivalent of dumping a small moon's worth of water on. It'd be, I'd say, a fairly good estimate would be dumping a fairly large planetoid.
If you dumped Europa onto the Earth, you might be able, without it actually burning everything off, you might get enough water to cover the Earth out to 60.
All the way past Mount Everest. Yeah. But
that's what we're looking at.
That's fucking Europa.
That's Europa. And that's what we'd be looking at to do this. And then you increase the mass of the Earth by the mass of Europa.
Yeah!
So now you've increased gravity. So you actually might hang on to that atmosphere. But so even if you try to remove all the water afterwards, yeah, you're going to have major issues. Oh, on top of that, you increase Earth's mass like that, the orbital dynamics between Earth and the Sun change.
And the Moon.
And the Moon all change.
Yeah! It's starting to seem like this flood idea may not be so...
So no matter how you do it, we've already had to give him magic to get all the water here in the first place. Now we have to magically control the orbits.
Yeah, that's what I was
thinking.
We have to magically control the
atmosphere. We have to magically make sure that Noah doesn't die instantly when all this water magically comes on the planet.
And we don't forget. We also have to magically make sure that the mountains don't just get flat topped because of all the every
pressure in
mountain
the
on
water.
The Earth doesn't just completely get flat topped because Kent says that the Grand Canyon was formed with a little bit of time and lots of water, which means everything else would be eroded at the same pace, which means bye-bye Mount Everest.
Yeah. Now, if you suddenly increase the Earth's
Sorry
mass...
about screaming, by the way.
If you suddenly increase the Earth's mass, this would be very similar to when you take large masses out and you pull them in quickly to yourself. So, there'd be... To allow for the extra mass that's now been introduced to the system, Earth would have to suddenly start spinning faster.
Actually, no. If you're adding extra mass to the system, conservation of angular... You're shifting...
I've done it the wrong way around, haven't I?
Yeah, Earth would actually start slowing down
more. Earth would slow down more, yeah, so you're right. Conservation of angular
momentum. Also, thanks to the drag of the tides, because now basically Earth is now a big water planet, you've got large tides slowing the Earth's rotation down even faster than it currently is already slowing down.
So in 40 days, between the change of angular momentum by this extra mass, plus the slowing down due to the extra tides, Earth would very, very quickly slow down to a point that we might be
tidally
locked to the sun.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So not only does this flood completely mess up the Earth's ecosystem, but it also starts slowing the Earth down even faster. So it'd take a long time, sure, but eventually Earth would be a tidally locked water planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you increase the mass of the Earth that much, the extra increase in the Earth's gravity probably would have made the moon crash into the Earth.
No, it just shifted its orbital resonance with the Earth. So it'd probably start orbiting slightly faster, which would increase the rate of tides, which would slow down the Earth's spin even more.
It's like a cascade.
It is.
A catastrophic cascade.
And on top of that, Earth's orbit itself also has to shift to allow for that. So to increase Earth's orbit, it has to actually get marginally closer or move faster around the sun. One of two things.
It's a catastrophic
cascade. Yeah. So Earth gets warmer, probably, because Earth would probably spiral in slightly, because that's probably the more logical way for that to happen. And you're right, the moon would probably get slightly closer, which still increases tides, which still slows down the Earth's spin. So yeah, we are looking at a warmer Earth. So no, it probably wouldn't freeze, but constant tides for that 40 days and 40 nights, or in some parts of the Bible, isn't it over a year? Depends which version of Noah's.
It took over a year for the waters to recede.
Okay.
So now we have to. Now, not only do we have to magically get all the water onto the Earth, we also have to magically make sure that the moon's orbit doesn't get slightly closer, so that the tides don't ramp up as much as they do. We have to make sure that the moon stays in the same place. We have to make sure that the Earth's orbit stays the same, all through fucking magic.
And that the Earth's spin doesn't decrease to the point where we are tidally locked with the sun.
Eventually.
You know, at some point in all this, God's got to say, fuck it, there's got to be an easier way to kill off 99% of the creatures.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to kill 99% of it, send Noah into a big-ass fucking cave that's really, really deep underground, and praying something into the planet. That works. Although, of course, it's going to take a long time for the Earth to recover enough after that. But he's a god. If he can do all this other shit, he can just power word kill all the people on the Earth he doesn't like.
I think Kent Hovinds looking a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so just to introduce all the problems, just one after the other. First, to get all the water on there, any potential method, save magic, would reduce the Earth into a pile of molten slag. Then, on top of that, you're adding a Europa's worth of water to the Earth, enough to cover everything up to the surface, past the top of Mount Everest, 6 kilometers as a best guess, which is basically the equivalent of magicking an entire Europa onto the Earth, which changes the Earth's mass and slows down its rate of spin due to the conservation of angular momentum, like Kent likes to put in. And on top of that, this extra mass draws the moon in closer. We're increasing the tides, and since we already have basically now water world, this increases the tides even more. So the moon's orbit gets a little bit faster, and as it does so, it increases the tides, slowing the Earth down even more. This extra mass also makes Earth's orbit shift a little closer to the sun, and eventually the whole system would get tidally locked. This is not taking into account the massive environmental ecological collapse introduced in the Earth's oceans, introduced by adding a metric fuck ton of fresh water into a saltwater environment. And it's also not taking into account the entire massive havoc that it wreaks on terrestrial plants and animals, because they now no longer can swim.
Yeah.
Because
not that the plants could swim in the first place, but yeah.
Not that the plants could swim in the first place, but it would get so to the point where every animal can no longer keep up the energy to swim, so they drown, and all the plants can no longer produce photosynthesis. And on top of that, aren't phytoplankton like exclusively saltwater creatures? Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they are, but I mean, you do get other types of plankton that can be
basically
freshwater,
we have blue-green algae that are probably going to be the only providers of photosynthesis for quite a while. So basically, there's 99% of Earth's oxygen generation gone because of the massive collapse of the because the massive ecological nightmare that happens on Earth, on the land, and in the saltwater environment. And on top of that, we've got to take into account that now, due to all the dead things floating around, there's massive toxic algae blooms that are killing off whatever didn't end up dying after the flood killed all the terrestrial plants, animals, and all of the saltwater ecosystem. And the toxic algae blooms potentially run the risk of killing off the freshwater ecosystem as well.
Okay, let's add a couple of extra things too that I just thought of. We have now slowed down the spin of the Earth because of the conservation of angular momentum and moving close to the sun and everything. That reduces the dynamo effect within the core of the planet and reduces the protective electromagnetic field of the Earth. We have just expanded the diameter of the Earth and pushed the atmosphere out further, meaning there's more surface area of atmosphere. We're getting more solar particles hitting the atmosphere. That converts more of the atmospheric oxygen into ozone, which is not breathable by any living creature on the planet.
Oh my god! It's a catastrophic ecological nightmare! And not only that, but you've also slowed down the dynamo effect of the Earth's magnetic field, weakening even more than it already is.
And this would cause the atmosphere to slowly be stripped off, so we were already talking about we would lose a lot of atmosphere because of this. We will lose even more. So when those waters recede, we've got a very thin O3 rich atmosphere.
Yeah.
Corrosive atmosphere, basically.
Basically, if you increase the surface area of if you increase the amount of area that the atmosphere has to cover with the same amount of air, then yeah, you have to reduce the pressure a little bit. Which means, and also, we have to reduce the magnetic field because the angular momentum conservation issue reduces the dynamo effect, which reduces the Earth's magnetic field, allowing for more of the atmosphere to be stripped away. And as we lose more of the atmosphere, that means there's less atmosphere to protect from UV radiation, which means,
let's add another thing into the atmosphere thing. We now have an entire water world, and a larger water world than the planet currently is, because we're an extra 12 kilometers across in our diameter, and there's more surface area of water on the planet because all of the planet is now covered in water. Oxygen dissolves into water, and the warmer the warmer the oceans is, the less it will dissolve. But I think that's irrelevant compared to the amount of extra water we're talking about. Therefore, oxygen in the atmosphere is going to dissolve out. The O3 will not. So that even increases the concentration of O3 within the atmosphere compared to the straight up oxygen, and reduces the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere available for life.
No, you're both missing the fact that the dome of the firmament will maintain the pressure constant.
Well, no, it wouldn't. If you had a dome of a firmament, it'd be even worse because you'd be compressing all that gas into an even smaller area.
Yeah, which effectively makes a slam rod fire piston, but in reverse.
Yeah. There is no way you can do this without fucking up the entire planet.
And I take it the side chat agrees?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Although I think they're still talking about me suggesting that God piddled the extra water onto the Earth, so...
Anyway, basically... And, by the way, we're also leaving out the fact that we had to use modern technology to build the Ark, and it took several years with electricians to make sure everything was running smoothly. We had to build it on concrete struts, which I'm pretty sure Noah didn't have back in his day. So building the Ark would take far longer than it would reasonably even be feasible to build it in, not to mention the fact that it has to be built out of rebar, and I'm pretty sure people back then didn't know how to work iron.
Well, but...
They might have had bronze.
That doesn't solve the problem, though.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't solve the problem at all. I mean, we can't even build ships. Well, we are struggling now to build ships that size and make them...
Okay, to be fair, for the time it took to build the Ark, Noah did not have to get building permits or deal with ocean inspectors.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but then again, you also... And even if we include all that, we're also forgetting one key aspect. If we look at the original thing, it says that Noah took only those with the breath of life in their nostrils. Or only those in whose nostrils was the breath of life. Basically, everything that breathes effectively with their nostrils, if we take it literally.
So we didn't save any insects.
He didn't save any insects. He didn't save any fish. He didn't save any plants.
And all the plants are now dead that were on the land because they've all been put under 6 kilometers of water and drenched in salt.
And on top of that, if there's no plants on the ark, what happens to the herbivores?
Oh, they die.
If there's no herbivores for the carnivores and omnivores to eat, what happens to them?
Well, they die too. So what we end up with is a floating death trap.
Yeah. Oh, and there's only one window allowed. There was only one window allowed on the ark.
Yeah, imagine shoveling the shit out of that window.
Oh, there's also another problem. Do you know what the main smelling component of poo is? Hydrogen sulfide.
A poisonous
which
gas.
is actually toxic to humans and other life forms because it messes with cells' ability to use oxygen.
Which we now have proved that we've got a limited amount of because the atmosphere has changed.
Yeah, everybody inside would have died of methane poisoning within a couple of days.
Now, if we just magic all that solution, if we just magic all that away...
God gave Noah a magically powered air conditioner.
If we just somehow magic all of that away, then we also have to account for the one thing that Kent doesn't. What's the maximum population on the Ark of all of it? 7 pairs of the clean animals. Yeah, 14 effective individuals. Do you know how many effective individuals it takes to prevent inbreeding depression?
More than that. You need a population of at least 50 if you've got a long enough time for them to interbreed, and Kent's model does not give enough time.
So, even if we were to magic all that away, all of the hydrogen sulfide poisoning problems, and all of the food problems, and the oxygen starvation problems, the one thing he did not account for is that everything would die by inbreeding depression. So no matter how you slice it, everything on that ark would die. Yeah. Earth would be inhabited only by bacteria from then on because of the massive expansion of the sun.
Oh, and here's another thing. We have now reduced the density of the atmosphere, which means the atmosphere is going to be colder, which means a lot of the surface water is going to start freezing, and now we have an Earth that is highly reflective. It's going to get colder.
If it starts getting ice on there, it starts to reflect that radiation out into space, which means it gets colder, which means it more freezes, which means more stuff gets reflected out into space, which means it gets colder still.
And it freezes. Now, it'd probably only freeze down a couple of kilometers, and then the water underneath would probably stay at least liquid for a fairly lengthy amount of time. But that leaves the only form of life on Earth is that's around hydrothermal vents.
So not only have we slowed down the Earth a little bit, which weakens the magnetic field, but we've also added the massive Europa onto the Earth, which shifts its orbit, and the Moon's orbit, which slows the Earth down even more. So, on top of that, as we slow down the Earth thanks to the tides, the magnetic field gets weakened, and we've slowed it down due to the conservation of angular momentum and all that extra mass being added on there. So we weaken the Earth's magnetic field even more, which means the atmosphere gets stripped away over time, and anything on that ark would have been dead within the first few days because of the methane and hydrogen sulfide poisoning, or the oxygen starvation, or just plain old starvation in general.
Or they freeze to death.
Or they die or they go away due to inbreeding depression.
Yeah.
In other words, the consequences of magicking all of that water onto the Earth just to make the flood story even marginally plausible leads to a catastrophic ecological collapse, the likes of which no one has ever seen since the Permian.
And one the planet will never recover from.
Yeah, so adding an effective diameter of 12 kilometers onto the Earth in nothing but water weight ruins the planet.
Well, for us anyway. I mean, the animals, the smaller animals that live around hydrothermal vents probably wouldn't notice a fucking thing. But
you mean bacteria?
Oh no, you've got the nematide worms. Is it the worms that live near there?
Yeah,
and there are a few fish.
Things that live around the hydrothermal vents.
That is it. That's what our planet becomes. We become Europa. On a bigger scale, that's all.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. And then in a billion years, everything dies because the sun basically turns Earth into a puddle of molten slag.
Yeah. Which is going to happen anyway, but that's irrelevant to this story.
That's just the end result. That is the end result of this economic collapse, or the ecological collapse that comes from just adding 12 kilometers onto the Earth's diameter and nothing but water weight.
Yeah.
So, Kent, if the flood did happen, sure, there'd be evidence of it.
Not for us to look at, though.
Yeah, not for us to look at, though. Maybe some alien from another planet gets to look at it before Earth goes away. But, put simply, if the flood happened, you would not be here.
Wow, we only got 1.1... Well, we only got 2 minutes in, and we've already debunked him.
Proof of God's judgment. The effects are still here today.
Well, yes, they would be if it had happened.
They're seeing the fossils and thinking millions of years. No, it ought to be thinking God's judgment.
Yeah, God's judgment, which turns the planet into an atmosphere-stripped ice ball with the only things living in it being things around hydrothermal vents.
Giant tube worms.
Yeah, God's judgment turns Earth into Europa.
When you look at fossils, I like fossils, and man, I see things have changed. There's a reed that grows today, gets about 15 inches tall, little reed. They find fossils of them that used to be 150 feet tall.
Citation.
Something was very different before the flood. I mean, giant plants lived on this planet.
Yeah, and then the flood happened and Earth became a giant ice ball. Oh, wait, that's the alternate universe.
Huge coal fields. Something was different.
Yeah, huge coal fields that come from things dying and collapsing on top of each other and being compressed by other layers of rock, not water.
Oh, and coal does not come from bloody dinosaurs.
Plus, the flood, instead of a miracle, gave them warning to repent. They could watch Noah building that boat every day. Gave them warning to repent.
No, it didn't.
Planet.
No, come on. They're watching Noah build the ark. They're not going, oh, I should repent. They're going, what the fuck is that dickhead doing?
Plus, the flood, instead of a miracle, gave them warning to repent. They could watch Noah building that boat every day.
But can they repent if they didn't repent in the first place?
Exactly.
They couldn't watch the miracle coming. He could preach, hey, 10 more days, you're all going to drop over. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But they could see that boat going together day after day.
Yeah, and then the flood happened and Earth was turned into a giant ice. Oh, wait, that's the alternate universe I'm talking about again.
They see that boat going up day after day. They get pissed off about Noah hogging all the wood and they burn it down.
Yeah. Bonfire night. Where's the marshmallows?
Yeah, that's just another one of the many problems. Oh, and, is hydrogen sulfide flammable?
I don't know off the top of my head. Well,
just think that Ark got loaded up, and some jackass thought, oh, I'm I'm gonna look that up right now. I need to see that.
Oh, we'll all see it.
Well, yeah, with only one window, they would have had to use candles or lanterns. And any
Hydrogen
open flame
sulfide
would
is a
have
highly
ignited all the
flammable
methane.
explosive gas and can cause possible life-threatening situations if not properly handled. Oh my goodness! So if some jackass thought, okay, he's almost there. I'm gonna throw a match in there and keep him from hogging all the wood. Boom!
Not only that, even if they got to the point of this ark floating on the surface of the water, of course it's getting colder, so they want to light a fire. Now they're fucked.
Boom! Yeah, and all of a sudden, Noah's Ark now is called Noah's Bonfire.
Yeah.
Oh man, Kent Hovind. Oh, by the way, sorry for screaming. I think it was just needed for the added extra emphasis because we're talking about a highly flammable explosive gas that is produced from all that crap laying around. So someone throws a match in there and all of a sudden Noah's Ark literally goes up in flames. Kent's Noah's Ark fable just literally went up in flames.
Although, of course, they didn't have all the animals in it when they were building it.
Yeah, but if it gets colder...
Imagine the logistics of loading the ark with all those animals through one door.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do that now. We couldn't build a zoo and bring all the animals in at once. It just... The logistics of that are impossible with the technology we have now.
And what is Kent Hovind's
not
thought
possible.
bubble at this point? What is Kent Hovind's thought bubble at this point?
It's probably empty. He looks pretty empty there.
Okay, 10 more days, you're all going to drop over. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But they could see that boat going together day after day. It was a constant reminder that they could have gotten saved. And they could have and should have. So, how could a flood cover the whole world? I was debating at University of West Florida, my first debate I ever had, here in Pensacola about 15 years ago. I'd had a few debates with my wife before that, and I lost those all, so...
We've heard this joke before.
I was not excited about debating this professor, but yeah, you're laughing. You know, don't you guys?
Oh, no. Please, I think I've heard this point before.
Oh, he's going to make up some professor that never really happened.
I debated this professor, and one of the kids in the audience, we had Q&A time afterwards, he said, Hovind, could it rain enough to cover the Earth? He said, do you think it really rained enough to cover Mount Everest? He said, don't you know when it rains, the heat is released? I said, oh yeah, I understand. I taught physics. It's called the latent heat of condensation.
Yeah. And that's why the water had to be magic. And then he realized it, and this is where his thought bubble was like, oh shit. If I keep going now, I'm going to debunk myself.
So he's going to try and come up with another way of having water there, which is equally as dumb.
He said, well, heat is released when moisture turns to liquid, and if it rained enough to cover Mount Everest, it would completely cook the world.
And this is a perfectly valid objection to raise. Let's see Kent's reasoning.
I said, you're right.
Oh my gosh! He admitted that the student was right. But, oh dear, it's gonna get worse.
He said, but you think it rained enough to cover Mount Everest? I said, no, I never said that.
Well, that would be one way to get all the water there.
Of course, the water has to have already been in the atmosphere to start off with.
And, well...
That's one humid fucking planet.
Anyway, let's continue.
No, you're assuming that Mount Everest was there to begin with, and you're assuming all the water came from rain.
So...
Mount Everest was there, you dipshit.
Oh, no. He says, you're assuming Mount Everest was there before the flood.
Yeah,
Well,
so he's going to
first of
try
all-
and say the flood made a mountain. That's not how erosion works. It doesn't build
and
things
then-
up, it tears things down. So you'd end up with a
and
valley,
on
not
top
a
of-
fucking hill.
Yeah, and on top of that, if we're talking about that, then we're talking about hyperspeed plate tectonics.
Oh, yeah.
Which, the friction of which would melt the fucking planet!
Yeah, I know. That's
Oh, man.
unbelievable.
Every single excuse Kent Hovind does, or Kent Hovind
Makes it worse.
Yeah.
You got two very false assumptions in your thinking here.
Well, first of all, if he says very false assumptions, then that means Mount Everest wasn't there before the flood, and that also means that you somehow got to get a Europa's worth of water onto the Earth again, which introduces a major fucking ecological collapse. Why do we keep coming back to that?
I know, it's just absolutely amazing.
I'm going to give you the Hovind theory of what I think happened to cause that flood, what triggered it, where'd the water come from, where did it go, and what effects can we see in your thinking here. What about this flood? Several theories about the flood. I'm going to give you the Hovind theory of what I think happened to cause that flood, what triggered it, where'd the water come from, where did it go, and what effects can we see today. Now, we cover much on what the original creation was like on Seminar Part 2. The Bible says there was a canopy of water above the atmosphere and water under the crust of the earth.
He did! He did! Hydroplates!
Oh my god. Although his god, I should say. I don't believe in God, so...
Well, Jenny, I guess we can introduce Introduction Part 1. Or we can introduce Method to Get the Water There, Parts 1 and Parts 4, resulting in, the complete liquefaction of the planet.
And even if you allow, as we've already discussed, even if you allow for magic to do that without liquefying the crust, or boiling off the atmosphere, you then got all the problems that happen afterwards once you put all that mass onto the planet.
Oh, and that's not
Psalm 24 says...
That's not even beginning to account for the fact that if Hovind's idea is correct, then that means the mass of Europa was already added onto the mass of the Earth in the first place.
Oh yeah, because it was around the outside, yeah.
Well, no, if he's doing the hydroplate thing, he says water under... He said,
he does
actually
too.
said...
No, but he also said there was a canopy of water above the Earth. But,
and water under the crust.
Here's an interesting thing. If you had a kilometer thick layer of water above the atmosphere, you wouldn't see through it well enough to see stars or the moon.
Oh, and it gets even better.
But Genesis, which is before this, talks about stars and the moon. So people could obviously see them.
Oh, and it gets better because you know what you know how to have all that water stay up there in the first place? It has to be orbiting the Earth. Ever heard of a thing called Kessler syndrome?
Go on.
Kessler syndrome is introduced when you have so many things orbiting around the Earth that one part hits another part and makes it explode into tiny little bits of fragments.
Yes.
And then those tiny little bits of fragments hit other pieces of junk and make them turn into tiny little fragments.
Yeah, so you wouldn't end up with this solid chunk of water orbiting the Earth, which, by the way,
and
is a really big problem to start off with. You would have a ring system.
Well, not only... I don't even think you'd have that because the water would be collapsing in on itself every which way, falling into Earth and compressing the atmosphere like a slam rod fire piston.
Yep.
Which cooks the Earth again. And, well, Kent Hovind, I think we pretty much established
that
in
didn't
every
happen.
possible... Yeah, I think we've established that any means of getting the water there, including magic, results in massive ecological collapse.
Unless, of course, you have sustained magic throughout the entire thing to make sure that you don't have these ecological collapses. And at that point, if you're a god with that much power, like your god, unbelievable power, why would you flood the Earth? That's a dumb way to do it.
Exactly. It's like if you have that much power to begin with, then you also have enough power to not do it. And also, make sure that you can do it in a much more efficient manner.
Besides, if you're that big and powerful a god and you can do big and powerful things, why not just show yourself in front of all these people that you don't like what they're doing and tell them to do things better?
Anyway, moving on.
The earth is the Lord's. He founded it upon the seas.
Oh, no. we've already debunked the hydroplates.
And established it upon the floods. Psalm 33 says, He layeth up the waters he layeth up the depth in storehouses.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The water used to be under the crust of the earth. Psalm 136, He stretched out the earth above the waters.
Yeah, that's because ancient Hebrews didn't know what outer space was, and they thought it was, oh, the sky is blue when the sun's around, so it must be water. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Anyway, moving on. We've already debunked the hydroplate.
Yes, the hydroplates are done.
Just done and dusted.
See, when God first made the world, the crust of the earth was stretched over. Most of the water that's now on top was underneath the crust of the earth.
We can just skip this. We've already debunked it. Asked and answered.
There were vast subterranean water chambers. There are still huge amounts of water, huge water chambers down in the earth.
Yes, there is. There's almost enough water underneath the surface of the earth to make a whole nother, to cover the earth with, what is it about?
Actually,
About 20, 30 meters of water, but not 6 kilometers.
That's like 30 meters, but that's piddly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not piddly, it's a fuck ton of water, but it's...
Well, in the grand scheme of things, it's piddly.
Yeah, it's piddly. You'd have trees that poked out over and above that, and certainly mountains wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, maybe the sea levels would just shift in 30... Maybe the sea level would just rise 30 meters.
Yeah.
At best.
And remember, a sea level rising 30 meters does not inundate the whole landmass. It just encroaches into... Yeah, it just encroaches into the landmass a certain distance.
Yeah. So, again, Kenty's basically blown his argument in the foot here.
Yep.
Basically, Kent, is that a bullet hole in your foot?
Oh, he's
Doesn't
good
that
at doing that. Let's get Atheist Pastor in here.
Yep. Japanese drilled down, I forget how far, just recently in early 2003, and they said there's probably more water deep in the crust of the earth than there is on the surface of the earth.
Drink.
I'll definitely drink to that one.
Seismology, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Ever heard of it? No, because, you don't want to bother with that geology stuff. That makes your flood myth not be so accurate. Therefore, it was a lie designed by Satan.
Hi to all the new people who've joined us in the chat, like Randy and Chris. Thanks for everybody who's still here watching us. I have kind of been watching the chat, but as Tornado's in control of when the video is playing, and that I really haven't been reading anything out. I apologize for the lack of organization in this stream, but I'll try and do better next time. And Chris, I sent you a link if you want to hop in.
For those of you who missed it, me and Jenny basically discussed why a 6-kilometer increase would completely ruin the planet.
Yep, do you want to go over it again very quickly? Or can you remember all of it now?
Actually, yes, I can. So, if we just do a standard model where we already have Mount Everest there, we don't need to consider hyperspeed plate tectonics. That just introduces a whole other can of worms that just makes the whole situation even that much worse. Let's just do 6 kilometers effective radius added onto the Earth. As we've discussed, that's probably enough water. That's probably about the same amount of water in Europa. Yeah, that's Europa's worth of water on the face of the Earth being added. Europa's worth of water and mass added onto the surface of the Earth. Now, if you increase the distance away from the center of an object as that object is spinning, you'll slow that object down. Conservation of angular momentum, like Kent likes to use. In this case, it would slow the Earth down. And, on top of this, it would also increase Earth's mass as well, resulting in a slightly heavier planet. Now, this means that the moon's orbit would be affected, and the Earth's orbit around the sun would also be affected. The moon's orbit would be shifted so that the tides would increase, if they weren't already being increased by the amount of water now on the Earth for the moon to drag around. which effectively means that the moon acts as an even more efficient brake on the Earth's rotation than it already was. So, we're also weakening the dynamo over time that powers the magnetic field, resulting in potential stripping away of the Earth's atmosphere. On top of that, with that extra 6 kilometers of rise on either side of the planet, we also have to worry about the atmosphere being dispersed because it has to cover a greater surface area with the same amount of mass. So, that means that the pressure drops a little, maybe not noticeable, but definitely there. So, as we lose that, and the planet starts to slow, this means that the magnetic dynamo starts to go away. Now, on top of that, we have to introduce the fact that all of that fresh water just got dumped into the saltwater oceans, which kills the saltwater ecosystem. And it also covers every bit of land, which means that terrestrial plants and animals just go away. All those dead things mean that toxic algae blooms will probably kill the rest of the life on the planet. Save for what's in that ark if it was even possible to build in the first place, which introduces several potential problems. Namely, first, oxygen starvation, since Noah apparently only had to bring with him things that in their nostrils held the breath of life, meaning things that breathe with their nostrils. That means no insects, no fish, because they breathe with their gills, and no plants, which means no oxygen being generated. And it also means that everything dies either due to oxygen starvation or starvation.
Especially as we're losing oxygen due to absorption of oxygen into the now larger ocean, and the extra creation of ozone caused by the reduction in the amount of magnetosphere that our planet would have from slowing down.
And on top of that, if we manage to take away all the oxygen and food starvation problems, then we also have to contend with hydrogen sulfide, which is not only dangerous to things that breathe oxygen because it interferes with cells' ability to use oxygen, but it is also explosive, meaning as the planet potentially cools thanks to the loss of the atmosphere, they would light a candle and boom goes the dynamite, literally. Which of course leads to all sorts of fun and interesting problems. It would get to the point where the only life on the planet is surrounding geothermal vents.
Yeah.
So it would be an ecological collapse on a massive scale. And all that from just magicking maybe 12 extra kilometers worth of diameter onto the Earth's surface.
We say only, but that's an awful lot of mass.
So, yeah, in one fell swoop, we completely and utterly debunked Kent's little thing about the flood happening. Because if it did, humanity would not be here to tell of it.
Exactly.
But hang on a second, guys. Kent's a real doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
So, Pastor, how much of that did you end up understanding?
I'll be very, very upfront. I am not someone who is all that good with science, but basically the gist of it I got was Kent doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the level of science denialism it takes to have a Noah's flood is just mind-boggling. I mean, compared to a lot of the other claims that young Earth creationists make, the flood is really the killer for them because it just cannot happen.
I didn't even. I'll be honest. When I was looking at it just from a purely logical perspective of just having the water get to the Earth on the planet, just having the water get onto the planet in the first place, I didn't even consider the long-term catastrophic effects it would have on the planet's physical properties.
Yes.
I was just talking about all the things that lived on it at first. And then I started to realize that you're introducing a whole bunch of mass onto the Earth, which effectively shifts how much it has, its gravitational properties, and as such, the orbits of itself and the things orbiting it.
I think that have you guys gotten into Hovinds' actual theory behind the whole thing, like the hyperbaric sort of ice.
Yes, that's where we just got to, Chris. So if you want us to drop it back a little bit, you can enjoy that.
Oh no! Unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say I'm very familiar with the Hovind theory.
Yeah. And
Shall we
were
continue,
basically-
Tornado? Now that we've had the recap, shall we have a continue?
Yes.
Just found earlier this year. There's a whole lot of water down there. Well, the Bible says the fountains of the deep broke open. And it says all of them in one day broke open.
And that would lead to the pressure venting, which results in all of the massive things of rock just slamming down into the crust and basically completely ruining the planet.
Aside from that, if you have that much water suddenly escape out, even if the structure didn't collapse, if you have that much water escape out, just the heating of the ocean by that extra water suddenly being added into it would be enough to boil the ocean.
Incidentally, what you've got to remember too, when this was all done at a time pre-internet when nothing could be fact-checked. So he'd be out there talking, to his audience and sending, the videos out to the audience that was watching, and they had limited opportunities to be able to actually fact-check him, where now we can just kind of jump on here and go, it's all bullshit. And
but
talk
he
with
says
people
the
who
same
actually
stuff
do.
now. He hasn't changed his story.
Oh, he's consistent. He's absolutely
He's been
consistent.
stupidly
Yeah.
consistent his entire life.
But people still buy it.
I
People
know,
still
it's
absolutely buy it.
amazing.
Now, atheist pastor, it might surprise you to realize that I'm a Christian, and I'm saying, look, Kent Hovind, the flood doesn't fucking work.
Yes.
No, look, it doesn't surprise me because in my journey out of Christianity, I was young Earth creationist at one point because I didn't understand the
Never
science.
been a young Earth creationist.
But I pretty quickly got out of it. In fact, evolution was probably the first sort of thing that I really took issue with in the Bible.
Yeah, anyway, moving on.
Yep.
There's cracks all over it. Seams like a baseball. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the San Andreas Fault, the Hayward Fault, the New Madrid Fault, the Golden Fault.
The New Madrid Fault. Are you really sure you want to go with that? Okay, so if we think about it like this, there's a massive crack where basically all of Missouri is, and all of that water shooting up as the plates collapse in on themselves results in basically everything around the New Madrid Fault going away.
Liquefying rock.
Yeah, because
Not
the
only
heat-
that, you would liquefy enough rock that you should be able to get the magma from underneath to come out, basically making a supervolcano.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
flooded the Earth.
Oh, yeah. Which reminds me, there was this thing about the Hovind impactor that I didn't tell you about. All of that energy released with that massive impact would crack the crust, resulting in a supervolcano.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's
has
like-
he gotten to the bit yet where he talks about how all the continents they never were actually joined as Pangea, and they're all still joined. There's just water on top of them.
No, but he will.
Oh, that's one of my favourite.
Yeah, the water's just in the low parts, remember?
Yeah.
The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the San Andreas Fault, the Hayward Fault, the New Madrid Fault, the Golden Fault, the Ring of Fire. None of them my fault, but there's no question. The Earth is all busted up into plates, and the Earth has gone through some really hard times. It's busted up like an eggshell. I think that happened at the time of the flood, not millions of years ago.
Oh!
Hey,
So we're gonna
so
go
hang on,
with
he's
all
just put the cart before the horse, hasn't he? Because for him to have things to escape from the deep, there had to be cracks for it to escape through, but the cracks didn't happen till afterwards, so the water had to build
Well,
up
the cracks
pressure
didn't
underneath
happen
and
until
make
the
the
time of
holes.
The cracks didn't happen until the flood happened.
So the water that came up underneath that he wants to include because it solves the rain problem has to push its way through a kilometer of rock. I don't know if he knows how hot things get when you do high pressure water cutting, but he has just liquefied most of that rock.
So we're talking super volcanoes across the entire face of the planet.
Yep, we are.
Which introduces another ecological collapse.
And superheated water. This is not going to be normal ocean temperature water. This water is now superheated. It'll still be water, but it'll be well above boiling. This gets straight into the ocean, killing all life in the ocean instantly.
What
And on top of
Sorry.
that, if we think about it like that, then we also have to put up with all of that water condensing.
Oh yes, which of course releases more heat.
And results in a runaway thermal cascade, killing everything.
Yes, because as you heat up the ocean, you heat up the rest of the atmosphere.
What you remember with
it's too hot for Noah to survive, regardless of the water.
I was going to say with Hovind, what's worth remembering is Ken Ham won't even have anything to do with him. Another young Earth creationist actually debunk his stuff. That's how bad Hovinds.
Yeah, but Ken Ham still pushes a lot of the same ideas.
Oh, yeah, but it's when Ken Ham won't touch your stuff, you know there's a problem.
Oh, there's something wrong. Oh, yeah.
Essentially, I look at it this way: Ken Hovind is basically the Ralph Wiggum of the young Earth creationist community.
Oh!
I love
Apologies
that,
to
Chris.
Ralph.
That is awesome, Chris.
My apologies to Ralph Wiggum.
Oh no, don't apologize for that. That is. Oh,
No,
now
I think you owe Ralph Wiggum a very sincere apology, Mr.
But there's a meme to
I
come
do,
out
I
of
do.
there, isn't there?
Ralph Wiggum. No, if you were to put Kent Hovind and Ralph Wiggum in a room, Ralph Wiggum would run circles around Kent Hovind.
I just so want to do a meme of Ken Hovind going, and the water came out of these hydrothermic vents, and
With Ralph there,
and
me
Ralph
fail
going,
science.
That's
impossible.
impossible. Yeah, that's improbable.
Oh man, we basically ended up debunking Hovind's entire argument with literally what happens when you add a mass of water the size of Europa onto Earth, and basically resulting in an ecological cascade of catastrophe after catastrophe, and the hydroplate issue.
But you only need one of those catastrophes to debunk it. You don't even need all of them to happen. Just one. Just the mixing of the oceans with all that fresh water and the leftover and the now this more dilute salt ocean that covers the entire planet getting on the main land and salting the land. That's an ecological disaster big enough on its own to end everything for thousands upon thousands of years. And they don't have thousands upon thousands of years.
Yeah. So basically, Kent's argument is literally easier to debunk than shooting fish in a barrel. Shooting fish in a barrel is rocket science compared to this.
Yeah. He is just...
Bible says
there's nothing difficult about debunking this at all.
Bible says in Job 38, or who shut up the sea with doors when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb?
Huh?
And break for it my
I
decree.
love the old
My
King
decreed
James.
place. Your proud ways can't go any farther. There's a beach that stops it from coming up here. But the Bible says the water gushed out of the earth like water out of a womb.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a horrible metaphor.
That is a horrible metaphor.
Ah!
It gushed out, according to Hovind. I love it.
I am assuming he wasn't at any of his kids' births.
Oh. Oh no, Ken.
No, he was because he dropped Eric.
Oh!
Ow. Just ow. But still, it gushed forth like water out of a womb.
No, not like water, like water. You gotta say it right. You gotta water.
Yeah, and it also exited at such speed that it was basically a super volcanic eruption happening all over the Earth at once, resulting in the continents crashing down onto the land, resulting in the liquefaction of the entire fucking planet.
We're dead.
We're dead. We're dead. We're dead. We're dead.
Hey, One Ring.
Hey, Ring.
Hey.
Have you come to learn science with us from a real high school science teacher?
Oh,
I could actually make a PhD doctoral dissertation. I could make a doctoral dissertation. Hello, my name is Tornado Pelt, and I am a guy who's about to completely ruin Kent Hovin's flood idea.
Well, funnily enough, he
I
actually
could
opens his
literally-
dissertation with, "Hi, my name is Kent Hovind."
Yeah, that's why Tornado did it.
That's how he actually start. Like
It's absolutely baffling, isn't it?
How? Oh, right. He got his degree from a diploma mill.
Yep.
Hey, Dark Brisinger.
but
So, if you just missed these last few minutes, if you haven't been watching the video, before we got even 1 minute through the Kent Hovind spiel, 2 minutes before the Kent Hovind spiel, we were literally a few seconds shy of 2 minutes on Kent Hovind's video here, and we completely eviscerated the flood just by the fact that it introduces a Europa's worth of water onto the planet.
Yeah.
Did you get to hear about the ecological catastrophe cascade that followed?
no.
We've already recapped it about 4 times. Do you want to go again, Tornado?
Sure, because I think it bears repeating.
I think it does too.
Okay, so we're magicking on a Europa's worth of water, adding 12 kilometers in diameter, adding 12 kilometers to the Earth's diameter. You know what all that water does? It adds mass, which means that you're slowing down Earth's rotation due to the conservation of angular momentum. Like a skater spreading their arms out, they slow down. The Earth getting 12 extra kilometers of water added to it, it slows down. So, as such, the moon now has a lot of extra pull because not only is the Earth's mass increased, but as a result, its orbit around the sun has changed and the moon's orbit around it has changed. So the moon gets a little closer to Earth, increasing the effects of its tides, slowing down the Earth even more now than it would if its orbit hadn't changed, even with the Europa-sized mass of water that's just been added to it, turning Earth into a complete and utter water world. So, on top of that, this slows down the Earth's magnetic dynamo, resulting in the weakening of the magnetic field and resulting in the conversion of atmospheric oxygen into ozone, which is not breathable by any sort of life. On top of that, the atmosphere is also getting stripped away due to the weakening of this magnetic field. And I think you know where that's going. As the atmosphere goes away, the temperature starts to drop. As the temperature starts to drop, the water at the poles begins to freeze. This happens and reflects some radiation away from Earth's atmosphere, away from Earth, which means the water continues to freeze, resulting in basically an Earth-sized Europa.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the only problem. The other problem is that Earth becomes tidally locked with the sun. Kind of like Europa is with Jupiter. So, yeah, that's a fun time. Now, this is just ignoring all the ecological problems that's happening with the massive introduction of 12 more kilometers worth of ocean onto an already beleaguered planet. So, actually, I mean not ocean, I mean total freshwater, which leads to the collapse of every marine, ocean, saltwater environment.
Yeah.
And also the collapse of the terrestrial environment thanks to the sunlight zone now being located 6 kilometers above where it was, all over the planet. So there's no photosynthesis on the terrestrial surface anywhere.
Well,
and all of the phytoplankton in the saltwater environments have completely died due to the complete and utter fucking with that the freshwater introduction did. So on top of that, now you've got a whole bunch of dead things floating around, which means there's powerful toxic algae blooms poisoning the water and making it anoxic. So
the only life we have left now is around hydrothermal vents.
Yeah, and that's not even getting into the problems with the Ark, since Noah only brings those things with which in their nostrils is the breath of life. This means no insects, no fish, no plants, which means everything dies of either oxygen starvation or food starvation. And if we magic those two bits away, that means there's a whole bunch of crap now floating around in the arc, which releases hydrogen sulfide, which messes with cells' ability to use oxygen.
And is highly flammable. So, like, one match to try and warm yourself up in that in severe cold. Boom!
And, well, kaboom! And
So-
on top of that, there's also the issue of the inbreeding depression, thanks to the maximum amount of clean animals being 14 individuals, when you need 50 effective individuals to prevent inbreeding depression.
Yeah, that's 14, not counting all the stuff that gets sacrificed. That's 14 to account for, blood sacrifices.
So basically, introducing just 12 extra kilometers of water onto the Earth results in a massive catastrophe. It results in a catastrophic cascade effect, which completely fucks over the entire planet until the sun expands into its red giant phase and cooks the Earth like a boiled eggshell.
Yeah. So it fails on so many fronts.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd known you guys were going to be using my Zoom for Kent Hovind, I'd have said no.
I love you, Jay.
So, yeah, as you can see, I've thoroughly and completely debunked the idea that the flood even happened because humanity would not be around to tell of it.
So,
We had a lot
I
of fun coming up with all that, didn't we, Tornado?
Yes.
No, I somewhat disagree that the water would necessarily be fresher because you are discounting the massive amount of erosion that would happen.
Well,
It'd just be kind of all brackish, but still would kill pretty much everything that lives in water.
yeah, so water might be brackish, but there wouldn't necessarily be more salt in it. So,
Well, there would be more minerals in it,
Yeah.
because of the massive amount of
but remember,
erosion.
if we're going to have it go there in a big rush, we can't do that because then we're going to cook the water. So it has to be magically put there so that doesn't happen, or else it fails well before this stuff.
But the flood it carved the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and resulted in the massive frictional heating of that, completely resulting in the explosion of the Grand Canyon and turning it into the Grand Crater.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't live to be 900 anymore. Proof.
Oh, that's because of the extra ozone that we now have in our atmosphere.
See, the water was already in the atmosphere. There was an atmospheric water dome.
Yeah, he's already said that.
And the
Hang on a
condensation
second.
of that results in the cooking of the Earth.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Ring, your Hovind is way too good.
Yeah.
I think you've watched a bit too much Hovind, or you're not down at the compound there with him, are you?
No.
But yeah, and that's just magicking in all of that water in the first place. A Hovind impactor would completely crack the Earth like a freaking egg.
Oh yeah.
The hydroplates would liquefy the surface because of all the impacts of literally every continent slamming into the now there available free space, and thus resulting in the liquefaction of the planet. The water thing compressing the atmosphere and turning it into a massive slam rod fire piston. And of course the ice canopy, whether on the atmosphere, sea above, or in space, cracking due to the differences in gravity, and thus having massive amounts of stuff collapsing in on the Earth and thereby sterilizing the planet. There's just no way this thing works at all.
Yeah, there's no way. Even magically, we have proved that it can't work. Unless, of course, you're talking about a constant magical intervention. If you're powerful
works
enough to do that, this is the dumbest way ever to kill a population.
Yeah.
It requires, quite literally, nothing less than a chain of magic.
Yeah.
Drama magic.
I delivered one of my kids at home. If you've never seen a baby born, you need to
That
see
answers
that.
that question.
My in college. He was up there getting ready. His wife's going to have a baby. She's standing there fixing breakfast, and her water broke. All over the floor. He came running in to see what's going on, and he slipped and broke his arm.
I highly doubt that. I think you just made it up.
He makes everything up.
Yeah, no, he's just throwing dad jokes out there. It's what he does.
And look at Kent Hovin's thought bubble.
Oh, wow.
Shit, I've been debunked.
I still think he's trying to trying to get a persistent shit out.
No, he just got a call from his accountants right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay
He
that
doesn't
tax.
have accountants. Accountants can't check money under the bed.
She had to drive him to the hospital. Set his arm while I have this kid, would you please? I mean, the water just gushes out sometimes when they have a baby. And God said the water gushed out of the earth when it broke up. I think the plates of the earth broke apart.
So, hang on, is he saying the earth had a baby?
That's what it sounds like.
God fucked the earth. There you go.
The plates of the earth broke apart, resulting in massive water streams, which are superheated thanks to all of that pressure, and they're escaping at the speed of fuck this. And as they do so, they're melting the rock around them and basically turning every single fault line in the entire surface of Earth into a super volcano.
We are fucked.
Also, Kent Hovind, you're getting kind of, with your analogies, kind of getting dangerously close to paganism.
I'd love to capture that picture and give him a cane and.
The fault lines are still there today from what happened.
That wouldn't be there. That would not be there.
No, because that would have melted all together. Aside from that, it'd be 6 kilometers under the ocean.
Yeah, and of course he says, you assume that Mount Everest was there before the flood. That's a false assumption. Therefore, hyperspeed plate tectonics, which reduces the entire Earth into a puddle of molten slag.
During that flood. And the Earth is broken up into plates, and the plates are still moving a little bit, which causes earthquakes, volcanoes. You know, I've studied all that stuff, taught science for years.
Then I assume you know what happens when you have an entire millions upon millions of years worth of tectonic shift happening in only a few thousands, right?
Well, the waters of the flood were made of hand wavium.
Hand-wavium.
I love that hand waving.
That's an amazing element, that one. We need more
Like
hand
wavium.
Yeah, and once you start introducing hand wavium into it, basically the entire premise is already fucked to begin with.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was fucked before hand waving came into it, trust me.
Oh, yeah, because I detailed exactly why it was fucked.
Yeah.
Or me and Jenny detailed exactly why it was
It's alright, I don't care if you take credit.
Incidentally, guys,
Hovan will attack you more.
I've got to run because I've actually got to get ready for Vandalia 98's interviewing me in about an hour's time. So
have fun, Chris. Hopefully we'll be done before then.
I just do want to say, though, how much gel do you reckon Hovind used back in the day? I mean, that is a cane.
You sure it's not a wig?
I reckon it's like solid plastic, if anything.
Oh!
Moving
It's
on.
his crash helmet.
Anyway, guys, you have fun. I'll try and check it out a bit
No,
more.
everyone go and catch Chris's interview later.
Okay.
Have fun. See you
Bye.
guys.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya, Chris.
People say, wait a minute, isn't that proof of Pangea? No, that's not proof of Pangea. Textbooks say all the continents fit together. Well, that's baloney. They don't tell the kids the truth about this. This textbook says South America and Africa seem to be a perfect fit. That's a pure coincidence, folks.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a pure coincidence. Like,
A pure coincidence backed by thousands upon thousands of years of solid evidence. Like, say, fossils being found of the same animals in both continents.
Yeah, even when I was a young earther, I accepted Pangea. I just thought that when the fountains of the Great Deep broke up, that's what separated Pangea.
It's dreadful.
based on the water level. Here's the evidence they give to support continental drift. They'll say the shapes of the continent seems to fit.
Well, they do, you dipshit.
Yeah, and you know why? Because we can figure out that they did. Maybe not directly. Maybe we have to rely on other fields of science in order to determine that. But we can determine it.
But I'd like to also point out that because the shapes of the continent seem to fit is why we started to study this to try to figure out, oh, did they at some point? It's not the reason why we believe in continental drift. We have measured the continents moving. We can see where the fault lines, where the continental plates have moved up against each other. We can trace this back in time and see where things would have been. The fact that they look like they fit together was just our first clue. It is not the reason why we know it happened.
And we could also, trace it into the future to
And
know
see what it's
that
gonna be.
one day, in a couple thousand years.
Well, longer than that, but yes.
well, in a couple thousand years, Asia and North America are going to match together.
Yeah.
Because the Bering Strait's closing at like a rate of what, like an inch a year or something like that? Maybe a centimeter a year.
Either way.
Similar fossils are found on opposite sides of the ocean.
Well, yeah, that's just one of many reasons.
One of the many reasons, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and also it turns out that geology is a thing.
Textbook says, see this? Same fossils found in Africa and South America. Well, so what? Those same fossils are actually found all over the world.
No.
Yeah. No?
No, not all fossils are found all over the world. They are, for the time frame when the fossils are in, they're usually unique to their areas. So to find exactly the same species side by side meant that those areas had to be joined by a land bridge at some point. So he's actually talking out of his ass. He's saying similar animals, but that's not the same as the same animal.
Yeah. Well, you see, they were all the same created kind.
Except we have no idea what a kind is because they won't define it, because they know the moment they do define it, then we can call them out on their bullshit.
Well,
yeah.
The whole kind thing seems to be kind of vague.
Very vague.
Anyway.
This is just as much proof of a worldwide flood. How far could the dead animals float in a year?
Well, considering we've established the fact that a worldwide flood, as you seem to think it would have happened, would have resulted in literally the entire environmental collapse of the planet.
I also like the fact that he assumes the dead animal's going to float for a year. The bacteria is not going to eat it up, and then the skeleton's not going to fall apart and sink to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. Or that if the animals in the ocean haven't all died, sharks or something else aren't going to come and eat that carcass.
Yeah, or, albatross, the large seagoing bird.
So they point out the two found on opposite sides of the ocean, but they don't point out the same ones are found everywhere.
But they're not the same ones. Already debunked.
They don't point that out because they're trying to, push off a theory on the kids.
Yeah, you're the one pushing something off on the kids, I think. I should be careful how I word that. I'm not suggesting that Kent's a pedophile.
Objection there, Kenty.
Well, actually, I'm going to correct him on his definition of the word theory, because he seems to think theory means guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? In science, a theory is a well-substantiated explanation for some aspect of the natural world based on a body of facts that have been repeatedly confirmed through observation and experiment. It is not a guess.
Yeah.
It is, here's what happened, here's why it happened. If this theory is wrong, this will disprove that. This has not been found as of yet.
But Kent only believes in guesses.
This is evidence of a flood, not evidence of Pangea.
Oh, you mean hyperspeed plate tectonics.
And then they say there are magnetic reversals in the ocean floor. No, there are no magnetic reversals. We'll get into that in a second.
Oh,
So
you mean-
straight out science denialism now. Wow.
Yeah. Straight up denialism. Wow. Yeah, Kent, now you are being what you accuse others of being. I'm gonna do my best impression of you. Willfully ignorant. That means dumb on purpose.
Yeah.
Is my Kent impression a little distressing?
Not as distressing as Rings is.
Anyway, moving on.
They don't tell the kids they shrank Africa nearly 40% to make them fit.
Oh.
No.
What?
Oh,
What?
and now you're making a positive claim and providing absolutely nothing to back it up. Oh, what was that one phrase again? Oh no. You're talking out your ass again.
You're a fucktard.
Aren't you, Kent?
Aren't you, Kent?
You know, I'm going to be surprised if Ken decides to do a whack an atheist on me, because it seems like I'm taking the most pot shots at him.
He might do one on the entire stream. We might be in for it.
Oh, in
Did
that
you
case,
put his name in the title?
I haven't, but I might.
like what? Tornado? I'm not. Never mind. Just whatever you want to do.
Tornado decimates Kent Hovind.
So what we're saying right now is Kent Hovind is a trailer park. Because he's just getting destroyed by a tornado.
Yeah.
Okay, just please don't make any jokes about that. I've had a very long day resulting from yesterday's severe weather events. And it's not exactly a funny thing to joke on.
Sorry.
Shall we play?
Yeah.
If you cut it out on get a globe and cut Africa out, and then cut South America out and compare it to what they did in their textbook, they shrank Africa between 35 and 40%. All of Mexico and Central America are gone in the Pangea maps.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Hey, Kent, you do realize the continents naturally change size due to these things called plate tectonics.
On top of that,
What a
the depths of the oceans have changed, which changes the shape of the continents. And erosion and new land build-up changes the shape of the continents over time.
So it's almost as if the shape change in the continents can be explained by natural processes happening on the Earth, and not, as you seem to think of it as, by a change via magic.
But God.
Seems to me.
Oh no, he thinks it was a change via Photoshop.
No, it
Also,
seems to me that Earth has naturally existing processes which can change the shape of the continents very slowly.
And he's hunting rabbits.
Señor, ¿qué pasa? ¿Dónde está Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala?
¿Qué pasa? It's like, ¿qué pasa? Your sense of it's like, ¿qué pasa? Where's your sense of respect for half the Latino community, you jerk? Oh, and can we also add on to that? This is not an accurate representation
of Pangea.
This
no,
isn't what it actually looks like.
Oh, yeah, no.
Hey, Kenty.
And look how old his reference book is. Even for that time. I mean, he made these in the early 90s, so that he was already using a textbook that's over 20 years old. Over 20 years old.
Yeah, Kenty, might I actually recommend that you look at how continents' shapes actually change over the years. They can be crumpled, they can be mashed, they can even, like in the case of the Indian plate, look completely different from the way they do now.
On top of that, McGraw-Hill Earth Science would be a early secondary school textbook.
So
I think that says everything about Kent's education, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is probably just an artist's representation, a very early introduction into the idea of plate tectonics.
Exactly.
So you're using a book that's designed for elementary school students who may not understand everything about plate tectonics and the way the Earth changes dynamically. And you're using that book, which is designed for a low level, to debunk everything about the subject. That is not how you do things.
They don't tell the kids that Europe and South America rotated one way and Africa was rotated a different way.
Oh, really? You're going to need to show a citation for that.
Aside from that, those continents can shift directions when they're moving anyway. Of course they can move differently. They're on different fucking plates, you dipshit. And the convection currents underneath them do not move in a consistent manner.
Yeah.
So apparently, you know, like a log floating down the stream won't rotate. It'll just stay the same.
Yeah. And if you have two logs, they're going to rotate exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Oh no, that never happens.
They also don't tell the kids what I think ought to be obvious to a kindergartner.
What, that you're obviously not smarter than a 5th grader?
Oh, Ben.
I could run intellectual circles around you in the 5th grade.
Did you know if you take the water out of the oceans, you will notice there is dirt underneath?
No! What a fucking concept!
He's getting there.
There is. I mean, the oceans actually have a bottom.
So do you, and we can see it right now.
Yeah! It's not like the Earth is a mostly large ball of silicates and iron and nickel and other elements which might constitute a fairly decently, sufficiently solid surface for liquid water to exist on. And exists at such a range that it's not being, it's not being geothermally heated, unlike at the plate ridges and near volcanoes and such. For the most part, it's generally not being exposed to the mantle of the Earth. Gee, what a concept. Who would have thought?
Oh, and Kent, you know what's under the dirt, right? Rock. You know what's under that rock, right? Magma.
Magma. You know what's under that magma, right?
More rock. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Kent's skull. You know what's under the skull? More rock.
I mean, the oceans actually have a bottom. People say, do you think the continents were connected? I say, what do you mean? Were? They still are.
No, they're not.
It's just the low places are full of water, that's all.
Yeah, the low places are full of water, but you see, that's not the entire freaking point. Because the continents aren't actually connected. When we refer to connected continents, we refer to things being able to travel between continents freely. And not like with airplanes, we mean being able to actually walk from one part of a continent to another continent, or a different continent, like, say, Europe and Asia. You can actually cross a border of continents, or maybe even go to the Indian plate by simply crossing the Himalayas. That's what we mean by connected continents. So, you see...
But even then, continents are not connected. They might butt up against each other, but they are not physically the same continent.
Exactly.
They can still move independently.
So, Kenty, your whole premise is flawed.
Yep.
Then again, when was that ever a consideration?
I'm floored by his stupidity.
It's not like these are hollow, you know, it's hollow under here and they're floating around like lily pads in a bathtub.
That is exactly what it's like, you dipshit.
Yeah, it turns out that bathtub is magma.
Yeah.
Yep. And
The
lily
bathtub-
pad is continent.
Yeah. Hey, Ken, you know that thing that... Imagine the Earth as a giant lava lamp, right? And you have these little convection currents that stir up the stuff. Those convection currents can influence the motion of things above them. Yeah. Kind of like a pot on a boiling pot of water, where all the noodles are moving around. Gee, it's almost as if the same thing happens on Earth. And in the Earth. What a concept. I'm absolutely colored pink to see, or color me surprised.
The Earth has a solid crust, okay? I think the Pangea theory is one of the dumbest theories in the world, but
You think anything that doesn't fit with your theory of, or I should say, your guess of God did it is the dumbest theory in the history of the world.
Yeah, I like the fact that he likes to call other things dumb when it's so obvious how dumb
I
he
literally...
is. Pot kettle.
The very idea of adding 12 extra kilometers to the Earth's diameter and nothing but water completely introduced catastrophes in a cascade effect, which rendered Earth pretty much uninhabitable for anything except what lives near geothermal vents.
textbooks say there are magnetic reversals. No, there are magnetic reversals. Walt Brown's got a great section in his book about the so-called magnetic reversals.
Except we can see them. We know they're there.
Yep.
We can see these things.
Not only that, we now have evidence in the way that the Earth's magnetic field is manifesting at the moment that we're heading close to another magnetic pole reversal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kent, perhaps it would behoove you to not pontificate about things of which you know nothing about.
He wouldn't be able to pontificate about anything if we insisted on that.
And the world would be a much better place.
I agree. He would in a much better world.
If you want to read more on that, or go to his website, creationscience.com, or you can get the book through our ministry. Textbooks say these reversals in the magnetic field indicate millions of years of spreading of the ocean floor.
Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Well, maybe
What?
not
Where?
directly.
Hang on. No. How? What? How does the
All
pole
of these-
reversal got to do with
all it really does is help us date it.
Yeah. No. I mean, we can see from where the iron in the magma has set from various times with as the crust expand and everything when the pole reversals have happened. But the moving of the tectonic plates has not caused the pole reversals. He has just put the cart before the fucking horse again.
Hold on, let's read that.
Magnetic reversals. Walt Brown's got a great section in his book about the so-called magnetic reversals. If you want to read more on that, or go to his website, creationscience.com, or you can get the book through our ministry.
On the context.
Textbooks say these reversals in the magnetic field indicate millions of years of spreading of the ocean floor.
Well, here's the thing. The magnetic reversals, sure, they don't indicate an exact time. Sure, they might not indicate a time at all. But you know what does? Various methods of radiometric dating.
And the fact that we can use various different forms of dating, including magnetic pole reversal, and those dating methods line up, show that our dating methods work. So shove that in your hat and then eat it.
Yeah, and heck, like if you, I think it's Iceland. It's like there's a place in Iceland where you could practically see it happen. You know, you can practically see the shifting that's taking place, or at least very blatant evidence of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I agree the ocean floor is spreading. And I agree the continents are moving. But I don't think it's been millions of years, okay?
So, hyperspeed plate tectonics or they were done that way originally, in which case, same problem as before. Either way you cut it, it still results in the liquefaction of the fucking planet.
This is a lie in the textbooks. There aren't really magnetic reversals.
What are they then?
Blatant science.
Come on, enlighten us, you fuckwit.
There are areas of stronger and weaker magnetism. Here's what happened.
No, because reversal means the
Change in polarity.
Polarity, yeah. And weaker or stronger would just mean the magnetic fields within the ion would be weaker or stronger. Polarity is an entirely different thing. We've changed now the direction of the polarity within the ions, so it's definitely a reversal, not a weakening and strengthening.
Yeah. You fuckwit.
Yeah.
They measured the magnetic intensity in the layers of the Earth at the middle, especially the mid-Atlantic ridge, and they found some places were stronger magnetically and some places were weaker.
And then, as the strength ramped up, the polarity changed.
Yeah, but he's going to ignore that because it totally refutes his point.
Yeah. Basically, his entire way to make all of our science fit the Bible is, here, I'll just cut out what completely disagrees with me, and I'll lie about what it says, so that way I can make it fit.
They always remind me of the three monkeys, the see no evil, speak no evil.
Atlantic ridge. And they found some places were stronger magnetic.
But they always remind me of the three monkeys, except that he's ignoring the one where he's not supposed to speak evil.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause it. I need to do something here.
Okay. I'll say what happened was God sent his other son, El sent his other son, Cal, and he pulled the continents apart.
With his bare hands.
Goes to a yellow sun.
I'm looking for the one where he does the three. I'm looking for the one where he does the three chimps one.
Oh, does he actually do it? Does he?
Yeah, I think it's on one of his videos. Mardimer 81.
I try to do ham, but I can't do an Australian accent.
I'm looking for the one where he does the whole, if you're gonna cover your eyes and cover your ears, then you should also cover your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that one. And I don't think it's in the Spirit Science series.
Oh, Mortimer actually says it, yeah. It's so true, though.
He says it, and I'm looking for the one where he does it. Isn't it in the Isn't it in the one guy, Winston Wu?
It might have been. It doesn't matter. Let's get through this video.
Yeah. Back to the fun.
Back to the fun.
So, Kent, if you're going to hear nothing and see nothing, then you should also say nothing.
So shut the fuck up.
Stronger field, weaker field, stronger, weaker. So they drew a sine wave. Then somebody drew a line through the middle and called everything below average a reversal.
No. Oh, for fuck's sake. No, that's not what they... Oh, you dipshit. They're talking about the polarity there, not the strength of it. You fucking retard. Oh.
Everything about this man is blatant science denial.
Or just science ignorance.
No, this is flat out science denial. He's lying about what it says so he can make it easier to attack. That's a straw man.
Yeah.
Below average is not reversed. If we line up everybody in the room and find out the average height is 5'7", does that mean everybody less than 5'7" is reversed down in the ground, or are they just less than 5'7"?
Okay, Ken, if you drew a sine wave chart about people's heights and someone's height dipped below the zero, that means they had negative height. So your analogy here is fucked up. It's a false analogy. And in this analogy where they're saying about the strength of it and the changing and dipping into the negative, where it goes to the negative is a change in polarity. It is growing stronger, but in the opposite direction.
And that smug look on his face.
Yeah, well, he's finally got the shit out he was trying to get out earlier.
See, less magnetic intensity does not mean reversed magnetic intensity.
But do you know what does? If you lose the magnetic intensity and then it ramps back up, but in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That is a polarity reversal of the magnet.
Yeah.
So
See.
you're
Yeah,
literally saying
so-
something doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's more like it's more like you're driving in a car, and you're going forward, then you slow down, then you stop, then you go backwards.
Yeah. Think of it like that, Kenty. Except it's with a magnetic field.
And can I point out, I'd love to see Kent try that in a car.
Okay.
We got
That-
to the end of it.
over.
Thank you, everyone. That was awesome.
So, for those of you who are just joining us,
Do you want to stop screen sharing and we can all people can visualize us? Cool.
yeah.
Thanks.
Actually, I think I have the whiteboard. Can I do that?
You can whiteboard. Yep.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to do something really cool here. I can draw with a circle. And let's see, do I have colors? Yes, I do. Okay, so this is going to be the Earth.
I might have to resize to make sure people can see it. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. Okay. Alright,
so
that should be
now
alright.
This is our planet, right? Let's add some nice. Why am I using a marker?
Why aren't people seeing that?
What the heck is going on? Is this a marker? This shouldn't be a marker. It should be a pencil. There we go. Okay, let me just undo all of that. Now, this is just a cruddy representation of Earth. I'm just doing this quick and dirty.
It's not bad for quick and dirty.
Just so you get the idea. Okay, so now let's say let's just use this to represent Europa. Right? Just this huge, what's a good color? Let's just make this look like Europa, make it look kind of Europa-esque.
That's its Europa lines, is it?
I'll just add the Europa lines in there too. Europa lines. That's right here. Let's just use this as Europa. So, if we were to add, say, a Europa's worth of water, let's just add that as this blue extra line going around the Earth, just for shiggles. This blue extra line going around the Earth. Then, if I clear it and I just clear all drawings, and I have this little ball thing right here, this will be Earth. There we go. And I'm going to get this circle tool right here. This black line right here would be the moon's orbit with the Earth with a slightly bigger mass. And I'll use a marker for the moon right there. That's a pretty good moon. And its path around the sun, which will be represented by this huge white ball, huge yellow ball here.
By the way, Kent, if you ever watch this is not to scale.
Yeah.
Not to scale. This is sort of Earth's new orbit, which will be represented by this little blue thing here, right there.
I mean, of course, he's going to, if he does see this, he's going to strawman the hell out of it.
This would be Earth's new mass with the I'll just add flood mass. Right, like so. Flood Earth. Flood Earth. Right here.
I think you've made this. I think you've made this diagram way too complicated for Kent.
Does it matter?
Probably
now, of
not.
course, I'm going to give you this little blue thing right here. This is the flood Earth, and as a result of the tides, I'm going to add this little blue line right here to show how the Earth's rotation slows down, along with these huge blue bulges right on either side because of the tides. The little moon representation right there, and the gravitational effect there. So this is effectively what would happen thanks to the big flood. The Earth's rotation slows down. I'll mark that right there. Darn it, I need the drawing tool. Now, yes, I know I'm taking a while to explain this and some long pauses. Rotation slows, right like so. Now, of course, the fun starts when you have the massive ecological collapse, which will be symbolized by the all blue drawing here. We don't really need anything else just other than the blue. So basically land. No plants or animals.
And you wouldn't even be able to see that land on the 6 kilometers of water. The Earth would look just like a giant water world.
No plants and animals. Desalination. For those of you who don't know what desalination is, that's basically the unsalting of water.
At the same time, you end up with salting of the land because there is still salt in the water. It's just a lot less of it, but that's still more salt than you would have on the land. So everything is fucked.
No marine life.
No freshwater life either because this is be a mixture.
And of course, toxic algae blooms equals no freshwater life.
That's assuming that the whole surface doesn't freeze over because we've got a reduced atmosphere.
Oh, I should probably put that on there too.
Yeah.
And, that's also assuming that, the erosion wouldn't, kill the freshwater life from making the freshwater a lot saltier than it would have been.
I think Kent Hovind might strawman this if he sees it.
There is no might about that.
Now, of course, these whole things here indicates the massive ecological collapse that's going on just there. Now, of course, you've got to also factor in the magnetic field, which will be represented by this blue ball here. And I'll move it here. Before flood, after flood. And I'll draw the magnetic field to look like this, with thin lines, because it would work. And there's my thin lines. There's my thin lines. So we'll delete that and start adding in the thin lines of Earth's magnetic field. With thicker line, this sort of thing in the back, just so you all get the picture. And of course, I'll draw these right like so. That looks like a pretty good representation, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And I'll mark it as pre-flood. Because I'm gonna denote this. Here you go, post-flood. Extra mass. Here we go, extra water equals slowdown.
Oh, and of course, this is going to be less salty water, so any thoughts anybody had that the salt water might induce more more magnetic field, no, sorry, it won't be salty enough to do that.
No, not even then. Equals slowdown of Earth.
Yes, plus of course, Earth slowing down is the biggest contributing factor to reducing the magnetic field. This is basically why Venus has no magnetic field, because it's virtually not rotating.
equals no magnetic field. So yeah.
Which means the solar wind would just strip the atmosphere
I
off.
should add that. I should add that.
Yeah. Well, it may not strip it all off. Earth will have a decent amount of... Well, it'll have slightly more gravity than it has now, so some of the atmosphere will probably remain for over the short term anyway. But... yeah.
There we go.
What atmosphere we have will become highly... ionized by the sun's solar wind, and we'll end up with a shitload of ozone, which is good if you don't want an ozone hole, but very bad if you're a living creature that needs to breathe that oxygen.
And here, let's denote the solar wind is this sort of color. Just to show everyone just how badly fucked it would be.
Yeah, we're
pretty
basic.
good, right?
You'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that's not including all the other issues regarding Earth basically turning into this chunky ice ball with little icicles hanging down. Just
There is no down in space.
It's a joke, okay?
No, see, in space, the enemy's gate is down.
Oh.
Yeah, Earthropa.
Yep. That's basically what we end up with. And very little life. If any.
You know, aside from a rebel base and some tauntauns.
And Noah's Ark stuck in the frozen ice. With everything dead on board or on fire.
Now, of course, no plants. Nothing that doesn't breathe with nostrils. Equals, let's put in equals no food, equals food chain collapse.
And I mean, yeah, it's you know, I doubt, you know, even assuming that the Ark is watertight, I doubt it would be airtight.
Certainly it's not going to be ice tight.
Well, you know, I doubt it would be airtight, which means when the atmosphere gets stripped, there, you know, everything on the Ark's, you know, suffocating to death too.
Well, even if you don't lose all the atmosphere, the planet's going to cool down enough that you are going... And even if it doesn't cool down enough that the whole of this new huge enormous ocean doesn't freeze, you're going to end up with enormous icebergs floating over the entire planet.
Yeah.
Now, Titanic couldn't cope with an iceberg. This thing certainly isn't.
Yeah.
Now, of course, no plants also equals no O2, which means everything dies. And, of course, magic away equals magic away food / O2 problem. Equals poop emoji.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does come down to it that if God has to do continual magic to make the whole Noah's Ark thing happen, he could have just lifted Noah off the earth for a while, given him a little tiny atmosphere to live on the moon, completely erased the earth with his own little marker and made a whole entire new one. It would have been just as much effort.
Or, you know, drop him in the astral plane, because obviously the only way he's getting all that water is opening up the elemental plane of water. You know, it's me. I had to bring D&D into this.
By the way, those wisps of lines you see there, I'm gonna put it in the
That's the smell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it
wow,
gets-
that's good. Which, of course, ends in fire because it's fucking cold now on the Ark, and he's going to light a fire, and they're all dead.
Well, yeah, because all the methane would just like instantly.
Hydrogen sulfide's even worse.
Yeah.
It's highly flammable.
And I'm gonna put in big black words.
Boom. Yeah, pretty much. No more Noah to worry about.
And of course,
So that's what we learned today, children. There's that Noah went kaboom, and that started the Big Bang.
less than 50 effective individuals. And 50 effective individuals means individuals able to reproduce with each other without loss of genetic diversity.
Yeah.
But I mean, ideally, you need more than 50 individuals. Like, if we're going to start a colony on the moon, you honestly want at least 100,000 individuals there at some point.
Well, yeah.
To have the genetic diversity.
Yeah, I think there was a study that concluded it can be done with at least 500, but you have to have like a strict breeding program.
Yeah, you can do it with 50 with a strict breeding program, but
everyone
it's really
would have to be fucking everyone else.
Yep. And if somebody breeds outside of it, any offspring that happens that's outside the normal breeding program would not then be allowed to breed later. So you'd have to have state-sanctioned removal of fertility. No, you need a couple. You need at least 100,000 people to do it properly.
Yeah.
Even with 10,000 people, you are still looking at breeding programs.
Even with like 10, it can be looser, but you still have to be like heavily polygamous to.
Yeah, you have to also be vigilant about who's then breeding with who in the following generations. So
only 14 individuals on Ark of any species, arrow pointing to extinction.
Yeah.
So, in terms of text, clear all drawings.
This is a song. Awesome. Alright, can we go back to full screen? And I think we'll finish up. Yeah. And I'm going to have to...
Yeah, as you can see,
Sorry.
It's an ecological collapse.
It is. It's very much an ecological collapse. So yeah. That's pretty dreadful.
Now, I'm honestly not hoping that Kent Hovind decides to do a whack an atheist on us.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
That means if he does do a whack an atheist, I'd be obligated to respond with better graphics. And of course, that means that, oh dear, things might be going down the tubes. So, did you like the explanation of why the Ark does not work?
Yes, that was a great little summary tornado. This has been a good stream. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's been a good follow-on
As
to
Bill
movie
Crosby
night.
said, we're going to have some fun. And if you're not careful, you might learn something before we're done.
Yeah, well... I don't know if we're the best educators, but we're definitely better than Kent Hovind.
And we're more entertaining, too.
Oh, yes, definitely more entertaining. Okay, everyone. Do you want to shout yourselves out? Do you want to start, Tornado? Shout yourself out.
Sure. I'm Tornado Pelt, also known as the tornado in a junkyard, as described by the above. I guess this time, Kent Hovind was the junkyard, and I was the tornado, and I completely ruined him.
And you did it so well.
I'm on Sci Strikeling's movie nights every week, if I can make it normally. And generally, I tend to have fun. Now, of course, I'm working on dealing with the whole screaming aspect, so yeah.
That's
I got
alright.
a little animated here, but at least I'm not swearing up a storm.
Well, I mean, it was good because we're not as big a group as we weren't as big a group as movie night normally is, so it meant you weren't really talking over people, which was good.
Yeah, that, and when it comes to flat earthers, they're one of the biggest pet peeves of mine, so yeah. Anyway, I also do gaming, and I've had a Vorian running in the background, so if any of you hear that weird ship whoosh sound effect, that's because
Oh,
of the
that's
gaming.
your gaming. Cool. Alright. Ring.
I'm One Ring 42. I'm mostly focused on cultural commentary, specifically how evangelicals interact with literature and media. But it's fun. It's fun to get into science. I just don't really do that because that niche is, I don't do that on the regular because that niche is pretty solidly filled.
Yeah. Please follow these people on Twitter and on their on their YouTube channels. Who I will grab links later and put it in the description. I'm not going to post them now because I'm lazy. And Jay.
Hello.
Thank you so much for letting us borrow your Zoom.
Yeah.
Go on, show yourself.
Oh, everybody knows me.
Yeah. I don't care.
I don't think there's anybody in the chat that doesn't know who I am.
No,
and Amiga Nuts, I am watching you.
And of course, also during the stream, we had the wonderful and lovely Jen Morgan. We had Atheist Pastor, and we had Purple Rhymes with Orange. So thank you very much to them. I'll also put their links in the description later.
The other thing
did I miss anyone, Tornado? I think that was everyone. If I missed somebody, please tell me.
The other thing I've got is make sure you tune in for my stream tonight. It's or on fortune tellers, basically oracles, soothsayers, tarot card readers.
Yeah.
So
That's gonna be fun.
I got a pretty good clip of videos from some that are like, oh, that one's really cool. Really?
Really?
Really? Yeah. So.
Oh, Jen's in the chat. Hi, Jen.
Yeah.
Hi, Jen.
I'm looking forward to being in that, to being on that one.
Yeah, that's
and we should have the Daily Atheist should be joining us tomorrow also.
Oh, lovely.
And hopefully another special guest, but we won't mention that one because there's been no confirmation.
Yeah, well, they are going to try, but
yeah,
there might be some difficulties. So they might not be there for the entire thing.
Yeah,
I nearly dropped it then.
Almost did.
I did.
Yeah, for a big chunk of my life, while I was really while I was really fundamentalist, I sincerely believe that.
Yep.
Indeed. Super serial.
Now, of course, did you ever consider the angle that I just approached it from?
Which the whole way we took on this.
Yeah.
I think we did a brilliant job of this.
Yeah.
And we didn't even go into any actual reasons other than scientific reasons why it's a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's just focusing on the gravitational effects.
Yeah, just that alone debunks it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I'm Jen. This is my channel. So if you're here, subscribe. Thumbs up. I'm hoping to do a stream tomorrow, which will be morning US time, evening Australian time, on some of the new science discoveries for space. Which I did highlight at the start of this stream, but I won't go through them again now. We'll go through them on the show when I do it. And I'll be on Jay's stream tomorrow as well. And hopefully at some point over the next few days I will get another video out. But between doing this and a whole heap of other stuff, I just haven't had time. add to that,
Yeah.
sitting here even now is making my back hurt, so I'm probably gonna not do anything else tonight. But anyway, thank you all for being here. It's been lovely to have you. Please don't choke on the selfie stick.
Aye.